I am playing Valheim in reverse using innovative tricks and challenging myself to beat Valheim, starting with the last boss and working my way backwards through the game. Welcome back to the last episode of the reverse series. Now, I have a lot of stuff to do today and it is a much longer episode called a special if you will, but we are going to continue from where we were last time when we finally made it to the Ashlands, the last section of our playthrough, which will start our spiral backwards down the chain after we kill the boss. But I have a lot of stuff to do. I need to get the stuff to summon the boss, which is going to be a whole process, and I have to get prepared to actually kill the boss because, believe it or not, killing it with wolf armor and a sword is not going to be the easiest thing ever, and there's a lot of other plans that I have that may be able to help me. I found one of these strongholds last video, one of the charred fortresses, but I haven't gone into it yet, and on top of that, I need to find probably a few more because there's no way that I get enough bell fragments from that first one to actually summon the boss. I also need the boss location, and I need to find a decent spot to put a little base in the Ashlands. Where I have my stuff set up right now is not going to last for long. The bone maws, vultures, and twitchers throwing stuff at my base constantly up on the rock is going to get it destroyed very quickly. So moving inland, especially inside one of those fortresses, will give us a lot better of a living situation and a lot safer of one. So that's going to be the plan today. But first I need to get some food cooked up. I got a bunch of arrows made and then start working my way up there. I also started last episode blocking spawns with campfires, which I'm going to continue to do this episode because it is working greatly. Everything is kind of stopped spawning where I don't want it to be at. And if I can continue doing that all the way up to the charred fortress, I should be able to break in pretty much no problem. After doing a little bit more preparing, I am up at the charred fortress. I'm just going to try and break all the spawners, all of the like cogwheel things, all the ballistas on the side, and kill everything inside and literally damage all the spawners, everything, all the stuff outside, everything inside, all with just crossbow bolts because it's cheap and it's safe, and I don't have much of a fighting chance inside one of these fortresses with my current armor situation. Speaking of current armor situation though, I did decide to go ahead and switch to the Fenris armor. The fire resistance plus the movement speed is honestly more useful to me, especially when paired with a Ratosk mead, that I was able to get up here a lot safer than I was running around with my wolf armor, and it's honestly a lot better. I'm going to try it out and I'll probably switch back and forth depending on what I'm doing, but these last two armor sets being all of my armor choices means that I'm going to have to lean on them very situationally to give them the max amount of what they can do for me, because otherwise these armor sets are extremely weak for being in the Ashlands. After I break this in, I have 2 to 3 ideas for how I can get the bell fragments. Obviously you guys should know, but if you don't, I don't have the ability to make the battering ram, which means I can't get in that center tower, but that is where the bell fragments are. So I've seen a couple different ideas for how to get in. I've thought up a couple things, and I've even tested in a different world a couple of things, but I don't know like which one of them are actually going to be practical inside of a survival scenario like this and with the resources that I have available. So I'll just have to wait till I get in there. But for right now, I'm just going to sit here and clear stuff with all the crossbow bolts that I have. I'll probably switch to arrows at some point. I'm just going to exhaust my entire inventory and place campfires all around the base of it so that when I do start to climb up to it, nothing respawns, nothing bothers me, and I can even break the spawners around it, because building down inside this one actually may not be a very bad spot for a base once I get it completely cleared out. Okay, so crazy little update. I've gotten campfires placed down almost all around the base, and I still have not broken all of the stuff that I needed to yet. I've built ladders up to try and see this last one, but honestly, I have been getting absolutely wrecked by everything. I'm trying to figure out right now like a good combination of blocking spawns, actually fighting things, and just running from things, along with getting divergers and stuff to help me because I do still have a camp with a couple of them alive over here. But it's just, this has been a really crazy difficult. Like, I did not think it was going to be this hard. The difficulty, and I'm sure anybody that's played it knows this, the difficulty from Mistlands to Ashlands ramps up so insanely hard that it's just insane. But on top of that, remember, I am down a gear set and that I'm going up without any possibility of improvement. So not only does it get harder for the base game, but it also just gets so much harder in terms of like dealing with it from my point of view with none of the bosses beaten. That being said though, I am making progress on clearing this thing. Most of the warlocks have fallen out, and one of the spawners is broken. The other one is severely damaged, so all I gotta do is shoot over this last wall and break it. But I've been trying to kill like the warlock on top and stuff so it stops spawning more things. I know technically another one could spawn, but I'm not gonna try and worry about it too much. And if I stay really far away, hopefully I can just kill the ones that are in there without triggering more respawns. But yeah, it's been probably 2 or 3 hours. It's been a long time of just, like I said, fighting off stuff that will not leave me alone. You can see the insane amount of damage to the rocks. If I go back down to the diverger place, you guys can see the insane amount of damage down there. It's been a lot of just like war going on in the Ashlands. Died so many times, it's actually not even funny how many times I've had to run back and get my body, but that's kind of the challenge, you know? I'm here with just Fenris armor and an arbalist, so I'm gonna keep pushing. These should be broken soon, and I should be able to hop in soon and start figuring out my plan for how to get the bell fragments, but it's gonna be so many crossbow bolts and so many campfires if this is the way that we're gonna work through the entire Ashlands, because it is, I've already probably gone through 5 crossbow repairs, like a couple hundred bolts, and a bunch of campfires because they keep breaking my campfires. I need to place them absolutely everywhere. You guys can probably see them all around down there. Most of them are put out now, but it's just been insane. And if I keep doing it this way, which I'm totally down to, then I'm gonna need a lot more of that stuff. So that's something to think about after I get this one cleared, because I either need to come up with a new idea or try and get enough stuff to make this feasible. Either way, it's gonna be difficult though. So I'm gonna keep clearing this, keep killing the stuff inside just from a distance like this. I'm sure there'll be one or two things that I can't clear, and then I'm just gonna build up over the walls. Hopefully my stairs don't catch on fire, and hopefully I can get myself jumped on into there. Put a portal down so I have a little bit better access and a little bit more of an indestructible base here, if you will. And also having more than one portal down is gonna make me much more secure about never having to swim back here, because the more I think about that, the more it makes me sick that if I lose my portal, I may have to swim back again, which I really do not want. So let's get this broken, let's get inside there, and let's get a little bit of security placed down. Okay, after placing campfires, this really has not been that bad. Not very much stuff has respawned. Both the spawners are broken, and this is going to be one of our last guys right here, and I've built up to the edge, so as long as I don't get spiked by absolutely everything, I should be okay to go ahead and climb in. Just have a few more things to kill, but nothing really crazy, and there's nothing else that's like somehow spawned in here, which I promise you guys we will see later in the video, and I'm sure many of you guys have seen while playing the Ashlands too. We don't have anything like a Morgan or a Fallen Valkyrie inside of this place, which definitely can happen. Now, as far as what I'm going to find here other than the bell fragments, I need the boss location, but I'm not really worried about any of the materials or anything like that. Will I bring the flame metal back to base? Yes. I don't know why, but I will, or at least back till I'll at least leave it at this base, just because, I mean, I don't have a reason not to, but there's really nothing I can do with any of the like Ashlands progression stuff. None of the gems are going to mean anything. Really, the only thing I can find that is useful in here is I can find the charred bones, and I can find the molten cores if I want to make stone portals. I just don't know that I'm going to want to make stone portals, or that I'm going to have a reason to. So those are the only things that I can think of that I would need out of here, but otherwise, like the flame metal, all that stuff, not going to be that useful. Let's get these last guy or two. I don't think there's anything left on the back here. I think we just have this last warlock over here that's going to summon me a few more things to kill as well. But after we get this, we're going to try the first of many attempts to get into this middle tower without getting through that front door. What we're going to try and do is, I've seen it on Reddit and I've seen a lot of people talk about it. There is technically two ways to do this, or like a way to do it and then a way that you can get lucky. The way that I'm going to do it is that I'm going to dig down on one of the corners of the tower. Now, the way that I could get lucky is sometimes you can dig down far enough to just slide under it, and you can just go, you can dig right back up to the middle, break the bell fragment thing, and then you are solid as far as getting them. But sometimes you can't. Sometimes there's no point on the entire tower where you can actually get to the point where you are like, can slide under the wall. Now, you can mine out the entire tower and it will actually start to break due to loss of foundation support, which is something kind of crazy, but I don't know if I'm going to do that. I think what I can do though, with an iron pickaxe, it'll take a ton of durability and probably a few repairs, but I think you actually can break the corners of some of these for some reason. For whatever reason in this game, you are allowed to, even though you can't break any of these walls, you can break the ones that are underground. Again, I don't know why. I don't know if it's to stop some bug or to as kind of a security for something, but for some reason you can break the ones that are under the ground. So I'm going to dig all the way down to the very bottom of this and then start just absolutely whacking with my pickaxe, going to town on the corner, if I don't get lucky enough to actually just slide into the wall. Either way though, hopefully we get enough bell fragments to make this worth our trip. Hopefully we get more than two, but even if we only get two, that's one thing, that's one fortress down for us to deal with, and hopefully we can turn this one into our base, and like I said, we can start having a little bit of a safer experience in the Ashlands, because nothing can really get in here other than anything that can fly. So I'm gonna get this cleared out. I still got a few ballista turrets to break, and then it's time to start digging to see if we can get down to the bell fragments. The next hour or two of my time spent was set gathering stuff for portals, gathering a bunch of fine wood, gathering a bunch of Grey Dwarf eyes, and then going through the Ashlands and getting a bunch of food as well as resources, so that way I could both make better food more consistently and start to actually expand my base into the Ashlands inside of that new place that was now clear. After I get a little place set up though, and now that we have a new portal as well as a stone cutter, which luckily I remembered to bring the shit for. I know definitely last episode we had to use it as well, but I definitely am happy that I remembered to bring the stone cutter or the iron for the stone cutter when I swam here. And the only thing I have to do now, I dug down to the corner. I cannot fit under it. Like I could fit under it, but I can't get to the point where I can break. Your pickaxe kind of hits above you in Valheim if there is something above you, and I can't seem to get it to hit the ground in front of me that would actually allow me to slide under it. So I'm just going to sit here and whack this corner for as long as humanly possible. Now that I have a portal, repairing my pickaxe will be much easier, and I should be able to get through this. It's just going to take some time, which I am not going to make you guys sit here and just watch an up angle of me whacking this wall. So I'll be back as soon as it's broken, however long that may take. Okay, I've been mining for about 20 minutes and it is almost broken. I know just based on health and stuff that is almost broken. We got it. Now this is not the end of the mining here though. I'm going to have to mine all of this out and probably build up into the chamber, hopefully without breaking too much stuff. And we need a couple of things here. We need obviously the bell fragments and we need the boss stone. If I want the molten cores or any of the other random crap out of the chest, I can grab it, but that's not the main of my concern. So I need to build up there and see what I can get access to, seeing as I dug in under the chest. Now, after we get this done, after I get up here, there's going to be be kind of a pause in what I need to do with the Ashlands, because I don't know if you guys heard me mention it last episode, but this is my first time here. As far as timeline goes of my experience, there have obviously been series and stuff like that where I'm in the Ashlands that don't line up with that, but that's just the order that they've come out in, not the order that I experienced them in. So this is my first time in the Ashlands, and I need to figure out how to actually go about navigating it and dealing with it and going through all of the things. Now, I know that's a little insane to have my first run at the Ashlands be in a reverse series, but that's just how it ended up. We do have the location for the boss, and it is not that far away, as well as we got 2 bell fragments, which means that if the boss is not that far away, and we already have this one cleared, this is definitely going to become our Ashlands home base. But what does that mean? What am I actually going to do here? Well, the main thing that I want to do at first is make more room in this place. There's not that much room, and I'm kind of close, like the walls are not that high because of just how they spawn, and they go really deep underground like this tower does, and the outside ones go even deeper. So the plan is going to be to dig all of this entire inside out and put Groston floors down, use maybe the tower for the blocker or the like ceiling for my portal, and then maybe I'll build an actual entire castle in here at some point. But out of all of this stuff, what I'd like to do is there's a couple things. First, I want to tame some Askfins, which is going to be a crazy thing, and I need to find hopefully some good ones. And I know I can't ride them, but I do have an opportunity where I may be able to use them. And if I can't use them in that opportunity, that's totally fine, because I still have the opportunity to use them for resources and breed them in that way, and maybe a couple little base defenders. Though I know from reading stuff and looking at stuff and testing stuff that they're probably not that useful for base defenses. They will probably end up very far away. After I get this turned into a little base, though, I need to start exploring more and finding more of these places, because with only 2 bell fragments, I'm probably going to have to go through 4 or 5 of these before I get enough. So let me grab some of the Groston that I got from the Diverger camp that kind of got destroyed from the Morgan and the Fallen Valkyrie. I think there's still some more down there that I can bring back up if I need it, and I want to turn this entire thing into a really big dugout base where my portal is safe, I am safe, and there's a lot more room in here to do things, because right now, like I said, I'm just too close. I don't feel like the walls are tall enough. It's making me a little nervous with the Fallen Valkyries flying around outside, and if I can dig down and give myself extra room, it's probably the best idea possible. So let me do that real quick, get it cleared out, and then I'll start worrying about the exploration and the progression of this entire thing. For right now, I have just dug the inside of the tower out, and there is a good reason for that. See, as I'm here, there's so much stuff respawning outside, so much stuff respawning that can hear me mining, and so much stuff that's just either outside or flying in and causing me problems. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and try and place as many campfires as I can. I've already been doing it for quite a while, but I'm going to start to run down the possible paths of where new stuff could be, places where I've explored, and just run around everywhere that I can, everywhere that anything is spawning me and bothering me, and start placing campfires. I may even work my way towards the final boss and start putting campfires down that way, just to have it for later. But for right now, the campfires are doing their job and blocking all of the spawns. I just have to kill everything once, break all the spawners, and put the campfires down in a big area. That way they don't start respawning. Aside from that, I am still very bad at Ashlands PvP. This being my first time here, I have no clue how any of the hit patterns work, and I'm getting absolutely demolished by most of the things. I'm sure this will become a thing later where I'm better at it, but just because I'm new to it, a lot of the stuff is kind of hard to gauge. I don't know the sound effects or the animations for when they're about to hit each attack yet, so that is leading to a lot of my deaths, as well as everything is obviously just stronger than me here. But like I said, I am getting a lot of stuff cleared. The base is getting dug out a little bit. I'm just, because of all this shit that's around me that keeps bothering me, I wanted to go ahead and do this first. There's a couple divergers around the base helping me, and I want to see if I can get some stuff to break the Groston structures around the base. That way I can use them for resources later. And yeah, for now I'm just gonna keep clearing, keep digging, and keep building until I have a proper direction to go, because like I said, for right now it's kind of just gonna be getting a safe place for me to survive in the Ashland, because so far, even just existing to get trees or even just to walk outside the base, even inside the base, has been an extremely dangerous place at all times. Okay, so far a lot of mining progress has been made. It is taking longer than I thought it would, but I've spent quite a bit of time doing it, and stuff has pretty much stopped bothering me, which is making this go so much quicker than it was. But what I do also have is I went ahead and went down and made tons of trips. I ran down to the little diverger camp close to our first portal, kind of in between our 2 portals, and down there where all of the fights had taken place earlier, when I was trying to figure out how to fight my way, whether to fight my way through the Ashlands or to just run my way through the Ashlands, or a combination. When I was dealing with that earlier, a lot of stuff had killed a lot of the divergers down there, and in the process it had broken a lot of their crates, giving me flame metal, and it also broken almost the entire structure for Groston. I filled almost an entire chest up here with Groston from that little encounter down there, which means that once I get all of this dug out and built out, I should be able to make the entire floor Groston, make the entire thing perfectly flat, and store so much stuff down here. Now, I don't know if I'm ever going going to even use that amount of storage, seeing as how close I'm getting to the end of the playthrough. At least I think close in my mind. And so I don't know necessarily how much like of that I'm going to use, but we're going to have so much room down here. It's going to look so much cooler, and I can start getting like areas sectioned out for portal room down here. Maybe we'll make this our own portal hub. We can get the Ashland taming somewhere around here, and I can work on taming those soon. But for the time being, I've gotten so much Groston and stuff that, and everything's kind of cleared around the area, that it's going to be just quiet building mode for honestly quite a while, and I should be able to just kind of hang out, store up some Ashlands resources like I have been, and continue digging this thing out. And once I do, it's going to be time for some more exploration, because I am in desperate need of more of those bell fragments if I want any chance of getting this playthrough done. The entire Ashlands base has pretty much been dug out. There's a decent amount of storage over there, and there are stairs going up to the top, as well as plans to build a second level. But after I got partway done with this, the Groston was getting kind of hard to harvest, because I just can't go out and mine. I just get absolutely destroyed by everything. I tried my best to extend the campfires further away, keep getting resources and keep getting more food, but I honestly got to a point for multiple hours on end, and even multiple real life days, where I was starting to feel really lost with what to do. And I knew the progression and where I had to go, but like actually doing any of it was just a little like, I don't know, I don't want to say I didn't feel like it, I just didn't know which thing to do and how it was going to help me, or if I could even do any of it. It was feeling honestly really weird. And like I said, that was multiple real life days and a lot of in-game hours that I just kind of hung out around the base, tried to get Groston, died a bunch of times, got a little bit of exploration, and really didn't do much. I think part of it is that I'm scared to die in a place where I know I can't get my body back, because that will put me so far back in all of this. I don't have any resources or anything that will enable me. Even like in the hardcore, I had some stuff saved up and a bunch of metal and stuff. I don't have that stuff. I don't have extra stuff to be making extra stuff. I don't have the ability to lose my kit. And I think that being a possibility is scaring me a little bit from going out and doing anything that's too far away from the base of the portal. And placing campfires got really old, and while it is working, they do start getting broken and stuff does start respawning, and it's not a permanent fix. So I'm going to be in an area for a short amount of time, such as taking over one of the charred fortresses. It's a really good idea, but if I'm not doing that, if I'm actually trying to live in an area and constantly explore it, it's not going to work for that long, and you do still have to clear out everything in the area at least once, which makes it for exploration not very good. So what I'm going to try and do is place a couple portals. I'm out getting the stuff for portals right now. I'm going to try and place a couple portals down around the Ashlands and put some back at base and just kind of run as far as I can. I'm not going to be completely naked. I'm going to have this set on, but I'll still have my silver set, and I'll try and leave some of my good weapons at home, but I will risk possibly losing my Fenris set, which is a little terrifying. Now I do have more hair and stuff, and you know, losing it's not the goal, but it's going to be a little scary. And like I said, I just need something though to break out of this gap in time of not knowing what to do, not knowing where to go, and being just a little bit, like I said, like pretty much just unproductive for multiple hours. So I'm going to try and get some of that stuff ready. I'm going to go out and start exploring, and hopefully we find another charred fortress. But other than that, I don't really know what to do. I can tame the Ashlands like I was talking about to help me out in certain facets of the Ashlands, but it's not the most important thing. I need the bell fragments more than anything, and if I can't get them, or if I can't seem to find them, this playthrough is going to come like not to a halt, because obviously, like I said at the beginning, we're finishing it this episode, but me in the game is I'm going to be very like far behind. I'm going to get kind of stuck. So hopefully we can find one. Hopefully I can figure out what to do, and if not, maybe we will go start taming stuff. But right now I've just been kind of stuck for a while, kind of messing around, and honestly kind of just dying a lot in the Ashlands trying to figure out what I even want to do. Okay, after multiple more hours of in-game time and being lost for honestly quite a bit longer, I have a new way of exploring, and it does work. However, I do have quite the problem. I ran around this entire island, which I would have showed you guys if it was important, but the problem is there was nothing. I found maybe one or two of the putrid holes and got one or two portals set up around the edge of the island after running and dying and running and dying and running and dying over the course of multiple hours, but there was nothing. There was maybe one more diverger settlement, but there was nothing of use as far as progression. There is literally nothing on this side of the Ashlands that I ran on. There is another side of the island part that I am on that I can go to, but besides that, if that doesn't work, we may have to swim to another Ashlands, which is not anything. When I planned this entire playthrough, or started to plan it in the middle, when I realized that it may actually be possible, nowhere in my mind did I think that it was going to be a thing where I would have to swim twice, or swim maybe even more than twice, to find the part of the Ashlands. Again, I hadn't really been here, and I am actually really far. If you're looking at a map of the entire world, I am really far on the right side of the Ashlands, which means that I am probably on a very small island with not enough charred fortresses to do this entire thing, which put me down a lot as far as mood towards the series. Again, it doesn't mean I'm quitting, it doesn't mean I'm stopping, but it may mean that I'm redirecting for a minute, because that put me down a lot. I died so many times, spent so many hours, and put down so many portals. Like I said, I just felt like a huge waste of time. time because there was nothing, and all of the exploration that I did was for nothing, except for one thing. I came up with all of this dying and all of like the portal placing and all of the just running around and trying to deal with the Ashlands. I did come up with a method that was extremely effective to help me explore the Ashlands. Now, it's only effective in a world where you're okay dying, but this one is one of those ones. So me being okay dying, what I was doing was towards the end of it, I was running around naked with just the stuff for a portal and a hammer. That way, if you die, you don't lose really much at all. And if you are about to die, you can just throw a portal down and name it something random and you can get back to it later. But that was the idea of what I tried to do, and I kind of just developed that after almost losing my stuff in an unretrievable place multiple times. And so that got a little terrifying there, that I could have lost my stuff, but I did end up getting it back every single time. Some of them took me like an hour or two to get the stuff back just because of where I died at. But like I said, none of that was really important or pertinent to the entire playthrough because none of it was really good for progression. So because I'm aware that I may have to swim somewhere else if the other side of the island does not reveal that I am going to be able to get anything from here, after doing that run, I'm pretty sure that not all 5 of them are going to be on this part of the Ashlands, which kind of sucks because I'm going to need probably 4 to 5 more of the charred fortresses and a bunch more resources. I decided to take a little break and try and test out the Askven taming. Now, we're going to come back to the exploration very soon because, as I said, both are really good things that I'm going to need. But at this point in time, I started developing an idea that I didn't know if it would work, but I thought it might work. Long ago, when Valheim was first coming out, I watched a couple videos of people beating the entire game as a pacifist, or without breaking anything or without killing anything. A whole bunch of playthroughs with like different challenges like that. And one of the biggest things that I noticed that was absolutely possible in most of these playthroughs was the fact that wolves, especially 2-starred ones and other tames, were definitely viable to kill bosses that were out in the open. Now, for something like Queen, it might not be necessarily possible, but for something like the final boss, it is definitely possible, and with the tamed Askvens, it may be possible as well. Now, with a tiny bit of testing and stuff just to see how much damage they do and how much health they have, it is clear that it's possible, but due to the lazy NPC programming, or maybe it was purposeful, but in my mind it was pretty bad, that the fact that the Askvens stack on top of each other when they just can't walk past each other, it could be a little bit hard to do so. But I think that using them to at least assist me in the boss fight is a really good way to put really heavy damage on in the very early beginning of it. So that's kind of going to be the plan. And now that I have made them a big part of the plan of beating the final boss, I can kind of justify it to myself of taking the time away from finding the bell fragments to actually tame a few of them. So I've never tamed Askvens before. I've never been to the Ashlands before at this point in time. I actually don't know if I've tamed anything at this point in time in this playthrough. As we'll talk about in a minute, you'll know why, because obviously I tamed stuff in the hardcore series, but we'll go over that here in a second. So, but yeah, for now I'm going to try and tame those. We didn't find anything on the first exploration, and after I tame a couple of them and kind of get them breeding where I have some downtime, I'll probably explore the other side of the island in hopes of at least finding one more charred fortress to go to. Well, I messed up a little bit. So the last Askven was pushing up against the wall of the charred fortress, and it was in too small, not flat enough of an area, which was a problem because then it was not taming at all. What I didn't know, and I looked up on Reddit, was that apparently if they don't have a super flat spot to stand or your area is not big enough, you cannot tame them. They just won't start eating, they won't do any of that stuff, and that one was fairly damaged from the wall, and there was another one on the other side of the charred fortress, so I just decided to go ahead and kill that one for meat and go ahead and start taming the other one. And while I could have tamed both of them to breed, ideally I get at least one of them with a star or 2, probably not 2 just because I know how rare they are, but at least a star one, and then I can breed out some more 1-stars from that. But what I'm doing is building a giant pen on the back of this place. There's one over by the lava for me to get in here, and the idea would just be to build this up around it. Once it runs in, I'll close off by building up more, and then hopefully this will be a big enough, flat enough area for it to tame. I have plenty of food for it to tame, and honestly, it's probably just gonna be a long sitting game. Also, sorry, it's extremely dark. I know my videos can be dark sometimes, but the Ashlands on top of it with the nighttime is terrible, so it's gonna be dark for just a second. But what I'm gonna do, I'm gonna build this up, get this a little better set up for taming, and this honestly may be where they stay and breed, so if I can make it as safe as possible and as hard for other stuff to get in as possible, that would probably be in my best interest. And then I will throw some food down and just sit inside the charred fortress while it tames, because as long as I stay in range of it, it should be perfectly successful tame. But unless this one goes south like the other one did, we should have our first Askven soon and be on our way to taming our second one, which will allow us to start breeding them, and then we can start exploring the other side of the island, which hopefully has a charred fortress. Okay, this one is almost tamed. I've been sitting here for I don't even know how long. It's at night. I jumped down there and it was at 98%. The problem I'm having is it seems to be either on fire or running into the wall of this, but as long as it'll tame, I mean, it's at 98%. Once it's tamed, I can run down there and just throw some of the walls up. Yeah, it's on fire and running into the walls. Please just survive for 10 more seconds, you idiot. It's so close to being tamed. If, like I said, once it's tamed, I can run down there and place walls walls over it, but I really didn't think that as part of it, and I didn't want to put anything that could aggro or break because I thought that that would maybe interrupt the taming process. So hopefully this guy will tame up. Been sitting here for only I think 35-40 minutes right now, which means it should be very close. And like I said, I just jumped down there and it was at 98%. So let's go. Are you fucking kidding me, dude? It just, all right, well, yeah, it just died. It just ran into the wall until it died. That was really annoying. So we've lost 2 Askvins, and I don't really know what I'm gonna do about that. I know that I have to just cover up the wall, but my feeling right now is not great. I don't feel great towards Valheim right now. I'm quite angry at it. So maybe let me go alter the pen, and then I will come back and see what I'm gonna do. But that we just lost another one to the stupid charred fortress walls. So after that last clip, an interesting thing happened. I got off for the night because I was quite frustrated with the fact that I had just lost yet another one, and that the exploration earlier in the day had led to nothing. It was a pretty rough day as far as getting anything done, and it felt like a lot of wasted time and energy. So after this, like I said, pretty frustrated, decided to hop off and just take a break for a little bit. In that amount of time, I recorded the end of modded season 2, or actually maybe all of modded season 2, which I know it hasn't been out yet. That's coming out after this because this is the last episode of this, and the first 300 days of the hardcore series, which you guys have seen 250 of, obviously, meaning that I took a fair break. I took about, I mean, obviously videos on this series have been a little slower and they were already pre-recorded, but you guys are pretty much caught up now because I took almost a month from recording this series. It wasn't all just an anger and frustration. I did have a lot of fun and enjoy putting a lot of time into the other series that I was recording, but from this point after the Askvin died, I had beaten the game on modded, and I had also been in the Ashlands on the hardcore series because, as I mentioned, I went past when the last video was done. So I actually, from now, have a little bit more experience with the Ashlands, have a little bit more knowledge of the hit patterns, and while I do still have a lot of stuff to get used to, as well as I need to figure out how to deal with all of the problems that come with this series specifically, I do technically have a little bit more experience now. Came back refreshed and ready to finish the series, but I did take quite a long break after that last clip. After coming back after a 27-day break from this series, I was completely ready to deal with everything that could possibly come my way, and armed with a lot more knowledge of how I wanted to do this. The first thing was make an inside pen, because if I go through the portal, they are not going to aggro any of my buildings or anything like that, assuming that they have been unrendered, which I learned from other series. So as long as I build this pen up right again, they should not have a problem taming it all, and I should be able to get a few of them in here to start breeding. On top of that, in the process of getting Grossin on the little structures outside of this place, I killed a Morgan, but next to it, that didn't get aggroed somehow from all the noise of fighting, there is a 1-star Askvin very close to this taming pen, which means if I can get this set up properly, make sure that it's fairly safe from at least the first layer of spikes, and get that thing in here, I should have a 1-star, meaning that all I need to do is grab another random one after that, breed them together till I have some 1-star eggs, raise those eggs, and then I should be able to have an entire family of 1-stars that will be able to produce me as many eggs as I could possibly want for the final boss fight, and for anything else like base defense or even just exploration. Obviously, though, I cannot ride them, but anything that I could want Askvins for, that will be all able to happen as soon as I get 2 of these, and I have one right outside the base that is a 1-star. I just have to go get it. That being said, I need to go make sure I have enough food for it and that I don't have anything else to do before I do this, because I'm gonna have to sit here for just a little bit of time and finish building the pen, because I need walls and stuff and maybe even a ceiling after a while. But once I get all of that built, it is going to be time to lure that boy in and get it tamed up, because that is going to be, like I said, one of the best things that I have found. Seeing that 1-star when I got back on the first day was honestly one of the best things that I've seen in a long time. Made me extremely happy and hopeful for the series, and I don't know, it gave me a good boost after coming back after a bit of frustrating time. Alright guys, the walls are up, the food is ready to be thrown down. It's not full walls or a full pen yet, but it's just the backside blocking the spikes, and while there are a few sticking out that may be concerned for a couple of Askvins, having one is not that big of a problem because it's not going to be able to stack on top of itself or really climb the walls. At least it shouldn't be able to. So let's go grab this guy, get it aggroed, hopefully not pick anything else up along with it, and get it in this pen. And then as soon as I get it in the pen, I'll build up the section of the wall that I broke out, assuming that he fits through it. I really hope he does. And then I have a way to de-aggro it that should make it fairly effective in a quick taming process, at least as quick as taming an Askvin can be. So I'll get it in here, climb up the wall. I got stone and stuff on me, as well as a workbench set up nearby perfectly on the edge. Let's go, we got it. All right, we got it stuck inside, built some Grossin walls up, as well as just kind of building up the earth around it. And while it's gonna get a little angry and jump around for a second, that's where the second part of the plan comes in. If I go through a portal and unrender it, the way that the game kind of renders everything and how this is gonna work is I should be able to just come back. The Askvin will know it's in there, but it won't know that I'm anywhere nearby, as it's kind of reset when it's reloaded back in from me going through the portal. After I do that, I can sit on the stairs along this wall, and I'll be completely out of sight, but able to kind of third-person pan over the wall and see if the yellow heart hearts are coming out, and I should be able to hear anything that goes wrong if it starts getting poked by the spikes, which this time I will intervene because this is a much more important tame having the 1-star on it, and I should, given that focus and the pen setup this time as well as the plan, it should go a lot better than the last two have. And also something to mention that has happened since the last bit of the series of me trying to tame that last one, that long break that I took, I have actually tamed some of them now. So I know what it takes to tame them, I know about how long it takes to tame them, and I know that all you gotta do is leave them alone. You don't have to check them, you don't have to go look at them, you don't have to do anything to them, you just have to leave them food and leave them alone. So that's what I'm gonna do. I got through the portal, I came back, it was perfectly good. I'm just gonna sit on the stairs for just, I think it's like 35 minutes probably. I'll see the little, hopefully I'm close enough to get the little notification that says it's tamed, but if not, I should be able to look over the wall and see it, and that should be all that I have to do. Now after I get this one, the plan is to get another one, start them breeding, and then start exploration again, but that all has to come after a successful tame. And 35 minutes later, and just hanging out and watching YouTube videos, it is tamed, and it is like, that was the most boring tame ever, which is exactly what I could have asked for. Now all I gotta do is I want to build roofs up and put it in its own section, so that way it will not stack on top of another one that I'm trying to tame and either break one another out or run into the spikes, because I definitely don't want this one dying, and I really don't want the new one dying too, assuming that I can find another one, which I'm sure will be no problem. Again, I don't care what I find. If I found a 2-star, I'd be extremely happy, but a 0-star, a regular one, is going to work just fine for my plan. So I'm gonna get this one boxed in, get a roof on it, and then head out to find another one, and hopefully get another one trapped in exactly the same way that I just did, and then I'll sit for another 35 minutes and get that one tamed up as well, in which case we can start breeding some Askven. Alright, our next victim has been spotted. I'm not gonna lie, I kind of clapped this one with the Arbalest a little bit. I did a little more damage than I expected, but we got it in the pen. All I gotta do is close it in now, and hopefully not get myself killed, but even if I die, it doesn't really matter. Climb up here, I got meads on this time, so it's not really hard to run away from it, and I got plenty of the food that it needs to be able to throw in there and just sit behind this. Once again, I'm gonna run straight through the portal. It should de-aggro, and it will not aggro my tamed Askven. Obviously, yes, they are on different, like, what you would call, like, teams within the game, like stuff that you see fighting because one is on my team and one is not, but they're not gonna fight each other. They won't hurt each other in there, and the other one can't even see the first one technically because it's behind the wall. The only reason I did that, like I said, was to stop them from climbing on top of each other. So I'll go back through the portal, I'll sit on the stairs for another 35 minutes, and then we should have 2 up and ready, assuming that this tame goes as smooth as the last one did. That tame was just as boring as the last one. Pretty much just sat and watched YouTube for 35 minutes. I got them both. I kind of broke like where the other one was at, where the 1-star was at, and pushed them into a little pen, where once I get them covered and I get out of sight, they should start breeding with each other, seeing as the food is already in there. I will need a bit more Groston to actually build up the roofs around it, and I may need to build them in a specific way because I did see them already stack up on top of each other once and hit the spikes, and I do not need that happening, especially once there's going to be more than one of them in there. So building the roof short enough for them to not be able to do that is probably going to be the best plan possible, but it may take a little bit of research and development of figuring out how I want to build it before I get the perfect Askven breeding pen. Other than that though, once I get these guys breeding in this pen set up, they can start breeding. They'll breed me out a couple of 1-star eggs. I'll pick up the 1-star eggs, and then I'll raise a couple of 1-stars, and then we'll kill this one or get rid of it somehow. And then we'll have purebred 1-stars, just as many of them as we can use. It'll be pretty much the perfect setup for like AFKing whenever I need to go do something in real life. I can just sit here and get eggs for whatever purpose. And I should, like I said, be able to use it to help me with not only the last boss, but maybe even some of the other ones just to speed it up, seeing as they don't take very long to tame and they don't take any resources at all to breed or raise. So, I mean, all I need to do is throw some of the food in there. I'll get this, like I said, figured out, like finished up, and get the pen set up to make sure they can't hurt themselves or each other. I'll build up the walls around it, like raise them back up so that nothing can get in here, and then hopefully this should just be a nice chill spot where they can hang out, breed, and I can AFK and watch YouTube or do something else in real life, and they will just make me eggs. So I'm gonna get this set up so I can do that, make sure they're all set up and safe, get them breeding, and then we should be back on the road of exploration because I need to get those bell fragments still desperately. I have been AFK for about an hour, not really AFK, but just kind of hanging out at my PC, making sure that I don't hear any weird noises coming from the Askven pen, and I've just been hanging out over here. They have plenty of food. I may have died falling off the wall, but that's besides the point, and they should have bred me up a couple of 2-star Askven eggs. I've made a chest out here to collect them, and I've already collected them once or twice, but I should have, yeah, I have a couple of 1-star eggs over here, and all of these 1-stars will be hatched, and once I hatch them, like I said, I'll probably kill this other one and not worry about the no-star eggs that were produced. I'll just leave them in the chest for now, and then I can start breeding them to an absolute insane amount. I'm kind of thinking, just like, what if I brought like 100 of them or something like really crazy to the boss fight, just an insane amount. Now, knowing again like how the NPC mind of them works against the last boss, they're not gonna kill it because the boss is gonna, the way the last boss works and the AI for it works is that it is going to absolutely rip everything apart with its fire breath that comes out of the ground, or its fire attack that comes out of the ground. Once it does that, all of these will probably die. But if I get 100 of them, how much damage do I really think it can do? I think it could do a decent amount. I do really think it could absolutely rip the beginning of the boss apart. So maybe I'll sit in AFK for some crazy number of eggs, like 100 or like 50. I mean, even like 20 of them would be a lot of Ashlands to be managing over there. But besides that, I mean, it's just gonna be some more AFK timing. I'd like to get those bred up. I think I have to stay in the area, but I'm not sure if I do or not. And then we will get back to exploration at some point, but I'm not in too much of a hurry. I have a lot of stuff in real life to do, and like I'm editing videos and stuff, and while just kind of sitting here and responding to your guys' comments and stuff. So I don't mind just sitting here for a little bit. I do have to get back to exploration at some point, but it's not the biggest thing for me ever right now. And honestly, waiting to make sure these get raised correctly and making sure that nothing happens to them probably is not a bad idea. So I'm gonna sit here and do that, get them raised up, and I promise we will be back on exploration soon. But looking in the distance and kind of just walking around the area as I was earlier in the episode gives me the feeling that I may be going for a swim as well. Quick update, all of the hatchlings are hatched, and I went ahead and killed the no star one, hoping that these will all grow up. I mean, they're perfectly in here. Nothing's been disturbing them at all this entire time, and I've just been kind of hanging out at the base and running around and doing a couple of other things back at the other base while I wait. I did look it up. I don't need to be in the area for this, though at some point I'm pretty sure you do have to come back and let the egg hatch. Like if I left for the entire hour and 10 minutes it's supposed to take from beginning of hatching to fully raised, I have to come back at least some point after the 20-minute or 30-minute mark for the eggs to be considered hatched, for them to load and hatch, and then once they do, I can leave again. So I don't have to be here the whole time. I'll probably be here for most of it, but I will run around and do some other things. One of the biggest things I've been doing is getting portals ready and the stuff for a bunch of portals. Now all of these portals likely will not go down, but the idea is going to be to establish a couple of other ones around this island. That way I can easily traverse around and get my body if I do end up dying in some place that's hard to reach. Head over to the last boss's arena and start setting up just a little thing over there. That way whenever the time comes, I'm ready for it, and generally just kind of get things ready for that like method that I was talking about earlier, to be able to run around with nothing on me other than a hammer and the stuff for a portal. Place some of them around and have a couple of extras just in case I lose a body or two. Make a couple of Lightfoot meads as well as some Ratosk meads. That way I can run and get around quite a bit better and make a decent amount of health and stamina food. Nothing too crazy, but just something to keep me alive and running, as I'm probably going to be eating a lot of whatever it is in the multiple deaths that I will probably have. But all of that will happen after these get raising up and after they start breeding their own eggs as well, which I may wait for that to happen before I start exploring as well. That way I have all the Ashland stuff done and I don't have to worry about it at all. I could just throw all the eggs in this chest, probably 100, which is going to be insane. I don't know. We'll see how fast they make eggs, but if I can get 100, then that will be the plan for now, and hopefully that'll be enough to help us out with the beginning of the boss fight. And then after that, I'm gonna, like I said, place portals all around this island, and if there is nothing else on this island or this section of our Ashlands, I have an idea of a direction that I could run to start swimming to the next one. Pretty much I just need to run south and west. I need to just run more towards the middle bottom of the map, and I should find more Ashlands there, but who knows how far that swim's gonna be, how much stuff I'll lose in the process, and how many tries it'll take me. I decided on letting them breed out for eggs, as I was gonna be AFK for quite a while, and there was no reason not to just sit here and at least get part of them done. It's been about 2 hours, and I've been down here for part of it, I've been away for part of it. It's been kind of bouncing around, and I did forget food for part of it, so it's not as effective as it could have been, but I have 32 eggs so far. Something that did happen though, I got up to like 50 or 60 eggs, and then my power went out, and yeah, it did not, I don't know, my autosave did not autosave very well, and yeah, so that happened, which kind of sucked, but other than that, it's been okay. Other than my power going out, which has been a thing that's happened a couple times this series and on other series, as technical difficulties are just something that we got to deal with here. So that happened, so I'm kind of back on waiting for more and more eggs, but even though I kind of already waited for all of them, but I'm just going to continue to sit here and wait. I'm going to have to be AFK for a little bit longer, and I figured, like I said, if I'm going to be AFK, if I'm not going to be playing in real life, why not just go ahead and let stuff run and get as many eggs as I possibly can? Maybe we'll even go over 100. I don't know at what point that becomes just complete overkill, and it's not going to matter how many more I add, but you know, why not go ahead and get 100? Like I said, for now, I'm gonna sit here, wait while I'm away from my computer doing other stuff, and then hopefully when I get back there will be enough eggs, but so far it's taking, I think about an hour will yield me about 30 eggs, if I'm 30 or maybe even 40. We have 5 Ashlands in there, they're all breeding, they're all laying eggs. Sometimes it's kind of hard to get to them, so it's hard to keep account for exactly how fast it's happening, because I can't see all of them considering how stacked they are in there. Other than that though, I'm just gonna sit here and wait, get those 100 eggs or however many happen while I'm gone, and then we are going to start placing down portals and getting this entire island explored. Okay guys, close to 100 eggs have been out, and it is time to just start running. I am completely have nothing on me. I'm not even bringing the stuff for a portal on this one. I am bringing literally nothing. The idea is just what is on this island. I don't want to lose anything at all. Just want to figure out where the edges of this island are, if there's another charred fortress on it, and if so, how many of them, and then what can I set up around that that area. And I also want to see kind of what the safest path to get to the boss area is, just because I need to get over there at some point and put a portal down. But this first run, I'm not even taking a portal because the unexplored area is so close to my current charred fortress. I really don't have to worry at all about like what I'm getting over to a new area or anything like that. I really don't think there's going to be too much over here to put a portal down for. And if there's a charred fortress, I can just come back fully prepared rather than trying to run back naked. But so far, it doesn't seem like there's much. And it seems like, yeah, I'm already hitting water. So I can see the spikes out in the water. I'm going to be up to it very shortly. And it seems like, I don't know, it just seems like there's not much on this island. I'm going to go around the edge of it and see what I can find. But if not, I'm going to start looking out into the water and trying to figure out which direction the closest next like piece of Ashlands is, so that way I don't have to swim very far. And then I'm going to start getting the stuff ready to swim, because I don't know, I'm not that ready to swim. I'm really not excited to swim again. Like I said last episode, I think that was like the plan for the series was I swim once, I boat, I swim, it's extremely stressful, I barely make it, I barely get a thing up. There was many a times where I got way too close to drowning, and then now I have to do it again, which is really not what I planned to do at all, and not part of like I said, it was not part of the plan. It was not what I expected I was going to be spending my time doing today. So hopefully I don't have to swim too much. Hopefully I don't have to swim too far, but I am going to definitely need portals with me if I'm swimming, and who knows, maybe I'll even have to swim multiple islands away. I can hope not, and I hope I'm not jinxing myself by saying that, but I don't know. Yeah, that's just part of the risk we're going to have to take, and part of the bridge we're going to have to cross when we get there. For now, I'm going to run along this island, find the nearest Ashlands, keep running around the edge of it and looking into the center, and finding the path to the boss so that I can get to it later, and then I'll head back to base and prep for either a journey to a charred fortress or a journey to the next set of the Ashlands. Alright, run number 2. I went back to base, made some more stuff for portals, and I have the stuff this time to actually place a portal down close to the boss. I died last time, but I got a decent amount of the coast explored, and looking at the map and based on how the coast is shaped right now, we have 0 charred fortress left on this island. We have the one we're living in and the boss arena, and that's it. That's all we have on this section of the Ashlands. Now, I did kind of in the distance, I could see where I'm gonna have to go next. Not excited about it. Not excited about swimming there, but I did on my map get a bunch of like the diverger settlements marked out, a bunch of like points of interest like the putrid holes marked out, a whole bunch of different things marked out on our island, which isn't, I mean, it's not the worst thing ever. I'm not that mad about the run, and again, I didn't really waste much or lose much because I was completely empty on stuff. This time I do have the stuff for portal on me, so I'd like to not die. I'm gonna run over here to the edge and get a portal set up where I do see the further Ashlands. I have one set up for, I have enough stuff to make one for the boss too, but I may just use it to swim across for right now. I gotta figure out, I'm also trying to like look at what the safest path is. I already found the path to the boss, and I don't know that I need a portal there right now nearly as badly as I need the bell fragments, so I may just decide to run it over here into this other Ashlands that I see in the distance. I gotta make it over there first though, because right now I have so much stuff chasing me, and there's an insane amount of stuff that wants me dead, and not a lot of divergers to help me. So the goal is to make it over to this diverger camp, get everything off my back, put a portal down, go back to base and get the stuff for either another whole portal set or figure out, like, this is gonna be, the way that I want to do this is gonna make me need to make like 10, 15 portals, and I'm not used to playing, I've been playing modded where you have the target portals and you only need one at each location, and now I need one at location and one at base, which is a little like, I don't know, it's a little different, and it makes the resources a little bit more difficult. So I'm gonna get this down over here. I'm probably gonna have to go back and get the stuff for way too many freaking portals, and then I will be ready to swim over to the next set of Ashlands, because this one is completely empty and has nothing of value to me. All right, guys, this first swim, I'm gonna be 100% honest, it does not look, it's literally like 2 or 3 spikes away. It's not that bad. I do still have the extremely high risk of drowning or burning to death if I can't make it on one of these pillars, but I'm not like so far from land that I could never get my stuff back. It's just a little bit risky. I have enough stuff on me for a, oh shit, I don't have enough stuff on me for a portal. Well, that is a problem. Oh my god, I just got out and realized I don't have enough Grey Dwarf eyes. Well, that sucks. I have the food and almost the stuff for a portal, but I don't. All right, that is not what I thought I was gonna have. Okay, well, I'm gonna, because I'm already over here, I'm gonna just make it onto the island and die somewhere accessible. Maybe I can get my stuff into like a putrid hole or something where it could be a little safer, or one of the structures, and I guess I will just let myself die over here and then come back with the rest of the eyes and get a portal set up. But I mean, in the meantime, since I'm over here, I might as well try and figure out as much stuff as I can, get as much exploration as I can, and like I said, maybe make it to somewhere somewhat safe. That sucks though. I can't believe I literally made everything for a portal and did not bring the eyes for it. That is terrible. There is so much stuff over here that wants to kill me too. This could be really bad. Okay, yeah, if I can get inside this putrid hole, that would be, I'm not getting inside anywhere apparently. That's fine. All right, I'm gonna go back and get the eyes. That body is right there. We made it to the other Ashlands. I just need to be able to actually get the resources resources to make something over there now. So I'm gonna go do that, and I'll be back to make another portal over there. But also, something that I can kind of see from just this does not look like that big of an island, and I have a feeling we may have to swim even further, but I'm gonna hold out hope that maybe it gets a little bigger and that there's a charred fortress on it. Okay, so good news. On my last run, I was able to get the eyes and build a portal on that island, name it, and connect it back to base, but I have another problem at this point in time. That was a very tiny island. Now, while it did have a ton of diverger outposts, if I ever did need flame metal for any reason, I could go there, though I can't process it, so it doesn't really matter. And I was able to set up a waypoint for this next swim, as that portal is there, and I should be able to use that in case I do die, or in case I do drop my portal stuff along the way. I have a swim into the complete unknown. This is going to look a lot like when I swam to the Ashlands, if not worse. But again, I am only running with the stuff for a portal and a little bit of food and some stamina potions, so I can make it across this easier. That being said, I literally cannot see where I'm going, nor do I know where I'm going. I'm just going towards center of map and down into the Ashlands as far as I can, and I'm trying to just stay on as many pillars as I can. Like, stay on the, kind of like how I had to go out and back when I first swam to the Ashlands. I kind of have to find a good little path to make it on. That way I have even a chance of getting my body back if I die, and of making it to the next pillar. Now, there's no 100% chance that I make it to any of these pillars, and there's a good chance that I do die along the way here, but right now, I should be able to swim fairly far when it comes to getting over here, as long as I get lucky with the waves. Again, as long as I have a not the most unlucky swim ever, I should at least be able to find the direction of a nearby Ashlands, but I'm still probably going to be faced with quite a bit of problems, so we'll see as I come over here. I've been swimming quite far. I still cannot see the nearest Ashlands on this side, and I'm kind of questioning anything at all, but at this point in time, I have different problems. I've used some of my stamina potions, and there is a bone maw right behind me, as well as this is my farthest swim to any pillar so far, and it requires luck with the waves. This is insane. Having a bone maw out here is bad. I don't have any, like, way to kill this thing. I didn't even bring, I didn't bring anything to kill this thing. This is a problem. So I may die here. Swimming with this behind me is going to be a problem. I'm definitely not, if I can't even see the Ashlands yet, gonna make it anywhere going too fast or too far, but I do have a plan. Oh my god. Okay, I do have a plan that I think might work, but I don't know for sure, and I don't know. I just gotta keep pushing at this point. I want to make it as far as I can with this bone wall behind me, and I have a plan to come back and kill it at some point and also retrieve my stuff without risking too much of my actual gear that I don't want to lose. Okay, I may have died, and I may be out of the stuff to make a portal, specifically Grey Dwarf Eyes, but what I do have is a plan now. So I made it pretty far, and I was able to spot the next Ashlands, though it is really far. It is a swim and a half for sure. There is like no way that I am going to be able to do this easily, but I'm getting the stuff for another portal. I have stuff for a second portal on that body, so once I get there, I'll have that stuff, but I also want to plan kind of if I can't get that body for some reason, because it was kind of down between the pillars next to the bone maw, that I can still continue and get a portal down. The plan is going to be put a portal here back at base, and then I should be able to bring a finewood bow with me as well as some arrows. Now, is a finewood bow going to kill that thing quickly? No, and it's kind of hilarious fighting a bone maw with a finewood bow, but I don't really care if I lose it. I can make some wooden arrows, it doesn't matter, but I should be able to, if I make 100 wooden arrows, I got 200 durability on that thing. There's no way I don't kill it from that, especially if I get the backstab bonus and all of that stuff from the bow. I should be perfectly fine to kill it, but it's going to take quite a few arrows and a bit of time, so I'm going to bring that with me. If I die and lose it, it's whatever. One, I can make another one, and two, I don't really care if I lose it, and it's not my Draugr Fang, so I don't have to worry about making any more gear. And if I am able to kill it, I should be able to swim to that next Ashlands. It is going to be, like I said, though, a very far swim. So I'm going to get the stuff for a portal ready, another set of portals, and then I'm going to start swimming again, try and get that body, and try and get a portal down, try and kill the bone maw, and then see how far I can get towards that next Ashlands, but I do see one in the distance, so hopefully it's a good one. Alright, I'm out here. I have my finewood bow, and I have plenty of arrows. I've done quite a bit of damage to this bone maw. I just need to make sure to finish it off, and hopefully I do not run into another one. I also have the stuff for a portal, and I'm on the same path that I was when I died last time, so I should be able to get to my body fairly easily. Now, again, like I said, it's down between some pillars, and it's not going to be the easiest body to retrieve, but given some luck, I should be able to grab it. Also, when I kill this bone maw, I definitely am going to grab the meat from it if it's close enough to, and try and have that back at base. However, right now I have a different problem. As I pull up about halfway, maybe not even quite halfway, but pretty close to halfway to the swim, as far as I can tell it's going to be, I am running into another bone maw, and I definitely don't have the arrows to deal with the second one, and it's getting kind of close to night, so I kind of want to go back home, sleep, make a couple more arrows, and then I'll come back here and finish this one. Hopefully I don't run into any more, but I don't really get a choice, so I'm going to try my best to stay on the spikes, close to the spikes. That way, if I do run into another one, I have a chance of surviving and getting up, and then I'm just going to keep swimming and trying to pick the absolute absolute best path, because having to swim back is just a bunch of risk that I don't need on top of this already very risky activity. Alright, so I'm closing in on this next Ashlands, and it does look like it is pretty decent size. I cannot see the end left or right, and I can see a bunch of structures and lava up deeper into it, so I feel like this is a bit better than the one that we just landed on. The plan is to get over here and set a portal down, but I'm not done there, because my body is already pretty much empty, and all of this stuff was stuff that I was willing to lose. Also, just a side note, I did get my other body and kill the second bone maw, so I have a decent amount of meat and stuff that I maybe could bring back. But after I get the portal set up, I don't really have anything on me that I would be too sad to lose. So what I should do is try and get another run in, see what I can find on this island, and just take this little kit that I have that I'm not afraid of losing, and see how far into the Ashlands I can get, see what I can find, and start marking out this new island as best I can, and who knows, maybe we'll even find a charred fortress or two. This little run of mine with nothing on went a lot further than I thought it would, and I survived through so much more than I thought I would. And I also mapped out an insane amount of this new island that was absolutely giant compared to the other two that we've been on, and even the one that we were living on. Though there were many points through it where I got extremely close to death, and I honestly probably should have died, times where I was one hit or stunned, fighting other things, running past endless enemies was kind of insane. But not only did I find one fortress, but I found 5 throughout the entire almost hour that I was alive running. The fact that I survived an hour of running through Ashlands naked was insane. Now, there was plenty of diverger settlements and other really like situational things that allowed me to get lucky and make it through, but this singular run set me up for success for the rest of the playthrough. This would for sure be enough to get all of the bell fragments with a minimum of 2 in each place. This was enough to get all of them, even if we hadn't gotten some from where our base is built at. So after finishing this run, I dropped obviously my stuff when I died. I will head back to base, look at the map that I've marked out, and figure out which ones to target first. Probably set up a bunch of portals in our Ashlands base to get almost like an Ashlands portal hub going, and then start moving towards getting these done. I should be able to do it with just a bunch of bolts and sitting on the outside like I did for ours, and as long as I don't run into anything too troublesome, the bell fragments and the end of the playthrough is going to be in sight very, very soon. Though you guys won't see a lot of it because it's going to take me a ton of time, there is a lot of preparation that has to go towards even just getting all of the bell fragments, let alone the last part of this entire game. A really big part of it is going to be like what I was doing earlier, setting up the portals completely naked and doing all of that stuff, because I have to go back. I didn't bring portals or anything when I just did that run in the Ashlands. I mean, there is no portals set up over there yet. So getting the stuff for an entire portal hub, getting the food ready for a bunch of runs like that, and getting enough portal stuff to where I can afford to die a few times without spending hours recovering my body is going to be one of the smartest things possible that I can do. On top of that, some more meads and an insane amount of crossbow bolts and arrows are going to be absolutely needed to get through any of those charred fortresses. And on top of all of that, I need enough resources and stuff to block spawns while I'm doing it like I have in other places. Now, something that I may resort to doing, I may do a mixture of campfires and workbenches, and while the workbenches will burn, I'm not nearly as worried about it because I'm not living there permanently, so I don't really need it as much. But after I spend about an hour and a half to 2 hours making food, getting portal resources, and making all the bolts that I could hopefully need for this entire thing, it was time to set out and start making portals and start making headway on the Ashlands and the new island that we have found, because as I mentioned, while that run was extremely useful, nothing was placed and no progression was done there, and so I have to rerun portions of it with portals for now. Okay, after way longer than I'd honestly like to admit and a bunch of mishaps of dying, I am over here finally with portals and armor, and I feel a little bit safer than I did before. This is next to the first and closest to the shore, or closest to our other portal, charred fortress that I will need to be doing. Now, there are a bunch of other ones that are actually much closer, but this is the first one, and I figured while running to the other ones, I should do this one first. This one's set up pretty well because there's a bunch of ruins around the outside that are decently high up to where I should be able to build up on top of them and shoot into it, breaking everything and all the spawners, as well as killing everything inside. Once I get inside, I have a new method or two that I'd like to try to get into the middle, because I think it'll be faster and just honestly much more efficient as far as resources and time, so I honestly want to try that once I get in there, but I gotta get in there first. The biggest thing I need to do is clear the area of all this random crap around here, start placing campfires and workbenches just to get the general area blocked off, and then I will actually start shooting into there, because in a perfect world, there is nothing around me while I'm doing that and nothing bothering me in the process, because the stuff that's inside the charred fortress will be plenty of a challenge by itself. I haven't put up too much to block the spawns yet, but I am in a position where I can at least break the first couple ballista turrets, which will allow me to sit below the wall and not get shot by them while I'm dealing with other stuff. I also want to see how much stuff I can lure alert to fall out of the fortress, because any warriors that fall out of the fortress, or honestly any of the archers, just things that aren't warlocks, are going to be pretty easy to just run around and climb back up into the fortress without them being able to get back in. The more stuff I can get knocked out, probably the better. There also seems to be an Askven or two inside of the fortress, which is really odd to me, but I mean, I guess that's just how they spawn, and we'll see plenty more of that later when we deal with the other ones, I promise. But for now, I definitely have not blocked any spawns. I'm not in a really good spot. There's so much shit under me throwing stuff at me, but I'm just trying to get as much damage as I can. The only thing I'm worried about at this point is this seems to be the highest point around the entire thing, and I really can't see the spawners from here. So unless I can build up a lot on this, my chance of being able to see any of the spawners is actually going to be quite low. And then from there, I have to make sure that nothing breaks these stairs while I'm standing on them. So I'm going to try and get the spawners broken, but getting the point of view, especially for the one that's on my side of the fortress, the closer one, is going to be a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. And so hopefully I can do that before climbing up there, because otherwise I'm going to have a hell of a fight of climbing up there and hoping they don't break my stairs so that I can get my bodies back. Workbenches and campfires are down, and a lot of the spawners, as well as some of the ballista turrets on the side that I plan on entering, are broken, as well as also there's a lot of spawners for the charred skeletons that are all around. I try to break the ones that seem like they're going to be a problem, but there are going to be a lot of them still out there along the edge that I'm not going to worry about breaking too much, because there's just way too many of them around the area. Aside from that though, I'm going to start breaking in very soon, as long as I do not get fucked up by this Morgan. But I want to explain the plan for what I want to do for this one. See, last time I dug under, and while that may be part of it, I want to try and build into the top. Now there's spikes all over the top of this entire thing, but there is technically a tiny little hole at the top. And while even in testing and a lot of other people are trying, it's almost impossible to get through that little hole, because it's not that your character won't fit, but it's more that the spikes bounce your character around every time that you try and move, or any time that you miss the hole perfectly. So what I'm going to try and do is build a little tunnel down into that, like, directs my character into the hole. That way I hit it perfectly every single time, and even if I do get bounced around by the spikes a little bit, I'll be held in by the walls where I can fall down. From there, I don't know if I'm going to be able to dig out or have to build back up, but one of those two will be the option. So I want to try and build in and see if that's quicker, because last time it took me so long to break the corner of the tower that any way that's faster than that is honestly probably really good for me. While it did take me quite a while and building up in multiple different places to even get sight on the other set of spawners as well as the other set of ballistas, it was much smoother than the previous one had gone, and I felt like I had a bit more of a chance at getting through this one efficiently and getting through it quickly. That being said though, there was still a lot of things. There was definitely Askvens inside of it somehow, and there was a bunch of, I felt like there was more warlocks than normal, as well as I couldn't see one of the ballista turrets, meaning it was shooting me while I was trying to do things. But after just trying to take my time, going slow and breaking as much of it as I could, it was time to see if I could build into the tower, because that was how I was going to get through this. I did have to go back to base and get a bunch of wood multiple different times just to make sure that I had enough, because I didn't really know how I was going to get out, if I even was able to get in. But after building stairs up to the main tower, the only thing that I was noticing was you have to be really, really careful of these spikes, because if you're not, they will knock you off, knock you all the way back down, and if you don't have enough health to deal with that, it can be really, really dangerous. After setting up the contraption to launch myself into the hole, the way it was set up was a bunch of walls, like, kind of not quite snapped together to where I could make almost a 1x1 hole, get caught by the spikes a few times, and fall perfectly down into where the bell fragment was. Because we're so far away from our other base, I actually was able to get another location for the final boss, even though I'll probably and obviously be doing the one close to my base. The problem came when I tried to get out. I tried to use my pickaxe to break the corner, and in the process kind of thought, how really useful is it to climb through the top if I'm just gonna have to break out anyways? But then my pickaxe broke, which made it pretty much impossible for me to get out, and the only chance that I had was to build back up to the top of the tower and try my absolute best to jump through the top by placing like all sorts of random crap under my feet to get me slightly higher through that hole. And while it's really hard to tell because I was in such a confined space and the game's camera really doesn't like that, it's kind of hard for you guys to see what I was doing. I pretty much, like I said, I built a 1x1 hole all the way back up to the top. Luckily, I brought enough wood with me to do so, and then jumped and placed ceilings under my feet till I was high enough to sprint out. But that was a really scary thing, and I got kind of close to being completely stuck in there. Had I been stuck in there, I would have had to find a way to make another iron pickaxe, which was not going to be happening if you guys remember how long it took me to get this first one, and I would have been completely stuck or had to dig somewhere from the outside. So that could have been really bad. But armed with that knowledge of how that worked, as well as what I did on the last one, what I think I can do from now on is dig on the outside corner corner of one of the, like, pick a corner and dig down on the outside of the tower, jump through the top, and then dig down on the inside of the tower, and I should be able to walk through. If it's the same corner where I dug on the outside, I should be able to just slide under the wall without breaking any of the wall. That will be by far the fastest way to do this, and that will be the new method that I try onto our next one. But first we got to get over there, get a portal down, and start moving. But we have more bell fragments, and the only hope that I can carry now is I've only gotten 2 from each of the last ones. The only hope that I need is I need at least 3 from one of them. You can get 2 to 4 bell fragments, but if I get 3 from one of them, we only have to do 2 more fortresses. If I get 2 from both of them, we have to do 3 more. So that's the only thing. I'm gonna get set up for the next one, and then we're gonna head over there because I pretty much have all of the resources ready. I just gotta go back to base and grab them. I may have been severely wrong about resources. I forgot that I had used them to make the portal hub back at the Ashlands base, and that I did not have any more for a portal, as well as a couple of more bolts that I needed to make. So I went ahead and took the time to go ahead and do those, but I promise nothing too exciting happened in the process, and I'm now headed over to the next one. What's good about this, and also kind of bad about this, is by far the longest run that I'm gonna have to do between any of the charred fortresses with my actual gear. So this is gonna be the riskiest part, but if I do make it over here, which I'm getting pretty close now, I should be able to set up and be pretty safe. And the next one is not that far away, as well as there's plenty of diverger settlements and stuff along the way to help me get over there. This one, again, looks fairly easy. It looks like there's enough area around it that is raised up enough around it that I should be able to shoot down into the charred fortress and break everything with the same amount of bolts as I did last time. All I have to do is clear the area again, put down workbenches and campfires, and just kind of make sure that I have the room and ability to do so and not getting bothered constantly by other stuff. So I got the portal set up on this big archway. It's probably the most precarious portal position that I've ever had, because the chance of me falling off that every time I come through is gonna be pretty high, but that's all right. I'm gonna break the spawners around the area, get everything cleared out, and start to just place workbenches in all the places that I can, hopefully in places where they won't get too burned too quickly, and then I will head up to that one and start setting up a ladder so I can shoot down in. Hopefully I can shoot them all from the same spot and just clear it out really quickly. We can get our bell fragments and move on to the next one, because there really isn't much more for me to do. Literally any grinding that I'm gonna do, any amount of time I'm gonna spend is on these bell fragments. I have the Aspen ready, I have most of my armor and weapons as far as I'm gonna be able to get them, and the only thing I need to start playing through this backwards is to get these bell fragments and start getting stuff summoned. I spent nearly 2 hours clearing the area around this and just placing basic workbenches and other blockers to make sure that no more stuff would spawn. I spent quite a bit of time doing, like, I spent so much time doing it, but none of it was really interesting stuff. The only thing I really got broken on the entire fortress was the 2 ballistas on this side. Now, after spending that insane amount of time, I tried to build up to see the spawners, because from this side I couldn't, none of the buildings were tall enough for me to build up on and see over either of the walls for either of the spawners. But eventually I figured that it was easier to go on the back side of the fortress from where the portal was. There was a much higher hill back there, and I could see pretty much everything I needed to break. The one spawner on my left side is a little hard to see, but you can see it, and it is possible to hit. So that's really the only problem I was having. The other part about this one, though, that's crazy, there was like 2 times the amount of skeletons in this charred fortress. There was a Morgan on the inside, a Morgan on the outside, and 2 Askvens inside, as well as I'm pretty sure 3 Warlocks inside. It's just like, I felt like this one was like stupid hard. Now, luckily, because of the position that I got myself in up on this hill with plenty of bolts and arrows, there was a couple things under me that were just throwing stuff at me constantly and shooting arrows at me constantly, but I had my better armor set on, so I wasn't too worried about that stuff. And I kind of just stood up here and sniped for as long as I could, breaking both my arbalist and partially breaking my bow and getting most of the stuff in there killed. But the biggest thing I needed to make sure was that I had all of these spawners broken. Aside from getting all the spawners broken, though, there is, like I said, an insane amount of stuff in here, and a lot of stuff that's not normally inside of these that I had to kill. And that was honestly just an uphill battle the entire way, because fighting a Morgan inside of a charred fortress is just not the play, and dying means that you may lose your stuff over the walls, which is not at all what I wanted to do. But I spent a ton of time farming this out, getting everything killed and getting as much stuff as I could before approaching the last couple things just by sword and getting closer up on that first set of stairs that I built. And after I do that, it's going to be time to get back up there, build up, and try and get myself down to the middle, and try and do, like I said, the modified version of what I did last time, making it much quicker for me to get the bell fragments without having any way to break the door. Okay, this is what is left after about 2 hours, I'm gonna say an hour actually, of shooting stuff down. It's just been a lot of like grindy, not very entertaining for at least you guys. I mean, it's not been terrible for me, but just a lot of grindy, not super entertaining resource gathering and just sitting in one spot and shooting things that walk in front of me, which hasn't been, like I said, it's not the most interesting thing that's ever happened, but it is definitely giving me progress towards this fortress. I think I should be able to clear everything else from the stairs. Definitely want to clear the Warlocks so they stop spawning more charred tweakers, and then I should be able to take out the rest of this stuff. There is a fallen Valkyrie that does not seem to want to leave me alone that I will obviously have to deal with, and it'll probably kill me a few times just like everything else has. And then I still have the Morgan that's down inside of that, but I honestly may be able to just build over it and not worry about it at all, because it's not going to be able to break into the tower or climb up to break anything that I make. I also could use it though to roll and kill everything that's in there, so it's kind of hard to say. I'll probably try and use it, but I don't know. I'm just going to be back up on that tower probably, or back up on these stairs. I've had to go back and repair the arbalist and make more bolts about 3 or 4 times, which means that I've probably spent about 300 or 400 bolts doing just this one fortress. And I know it seems like I'm skipping over a lot of stuff, but like I said, it's not interesting things. It's just me sitting in one spot, literally shooting at a corner of the fortress for an hour, which has not been the most, it's not been the most engaging thing ever. I have been able to get stuff to fall out of the fortress as well, which is a really easy way of dealing with stuff like the archers, because I can actually run at them with my sword. So I'm just going to continue trying to do that, continue trying to snipe stuff from the top of the hill, and just get down to the last couple mobs, and then I'll figure out how to deal with them and get inside that tower. Okay, Morgan is almost cleared. I only got 2 more warriors left to poke at, and I think that's pretty much it, and all of the ballistas are destroyed, which means that this is going to be easy sailing here in just a minute. So let's talk about what I'm going to do differently this time to not let myself almost get stuck inside the fortress, because I don't plan to bring nearly as much wood as I did last time, because I don't think I'm going to need it. The plan is to dig down on one corner of the fortress, just like I did on the first one that I ever broke into. But I'm not going to sit there and try and break the corner. As I mentioned in the first one and in the last one, you can actually slide under that wall pretty easily. The only problem is that the way the pickaxe works in Valheim is it hits over your head. This means that if you'd have to be significantly further below the wall than you can ever dig to actually be able to break under it and walk under it. But what you can do in order to break both sides is I can dig down on the corner, break all the way down under the wall to where I could walk under it if I could break the inside, and then I'm going to build up and jump down through the little hole in the top, and then I'll mine down in the same corner, and I won't have to worry about mining under the wall or mining past the wall because it'll already be mined out for me. So I'm going to get down here, I'm going to start digging the outside out, and then I will go back. I think I have to go back to base and get more wood because I don't have nearly enough on me. I'll build up on top, but I do not plan to build my way out this time, nor do I plan on getting stuck with my pickaxe. Could this be a little foolish? It could be. If I get stuck down here, it could really suck, and it could put me in quite a time delay. But if I do this right, this is now going to be by far the fastest way to get into any of these fortresses, at least for me. And honestly, this isn't even a bad way to do it in vanilla Valheim. If you don't feel like bringing the battery ram to the fight, you could just do this easily too. So that's something to think about. I mean, a lot of these methods in this entire playthrough are not just for this playthrough. You could use them to speed up certain aspects of your normal playthroughs as well. So think about that as you guys see me start to do some of these tricks. I'm gonna get this fully mined out. I'm gonna go get wood, and then we're gonna build through that top. Okay, I didn't show how I set this up last time, so this time I'm going to. You first gotta place like something to stand on. You can't really place it on the spike strips, but anywhere up here that to stand on, it could be anything, but I'm just gonna use a wall for this. Then I'm trying to like see where the wall actually starts to fall into the hole, and from there, that's where I'm gonna place the first one. The other two can be snapped to the outside because it doesn't really matter too much, but then you don't want to snap the last one like in a full square. You want to place it a lot closer to the first wall. You want to place it in a way that gives you a very tiny gap that you can barely slide through. And it may take a few tries. You are still going to get bounced around by the spikes a little bit, and you definitely want to make sure you have enough health to both get hit by the spikes and take the fall damage that you're gonna get hit by. At least 50 fall damage and probably 10 to 15 damage from the spikes. So at least have 100 health if you're going to be doing this, but any more than that is honestly going to keep you safe. We've gotten locations in every single one of these fortresses, which is kind of insane, but this is the same one as the last one, and I definitely don't need anymore because, like I said earlier, I'm going to be keeping the one that I am built next to because there's no reason not to, and getting the Ashlands over there, getting a base set up over there, it's just going to be easier, so there's no reason to try and go to a new one. So I'm going to dig down. This is the same corner. I can see it. Like, if you dig deep enough and like far enough towards the wall, you can actually see it from the inside which direction or which corner you already mined out, but just in case, try and make sure that you know which direction it's in. That way you don't have to mine out the entire bottom of the tower. I do know that it's possible to break the entire tower by mining out the entire bottom of it, but it's not, in my mind, it's not worth it. If you can do this method, this is by far the fastest way that you can do it. You can get in and out of the tower in like 2 or 3 minutes. You don't have to make a battering ram. You could do this at any stage in the game. You could literally do this. As long as you have a antler pickaxe, you can do this method. And a little bit of wood. But yeah, that is it. We got out of that super quick. And I think I didn't look, but I think we got 3 bell fragments from this one, meaning that we only need 2 more from our last one. And the last one is very close by on the map, so there's not going to be too much to worry about there. I'm going to get the stuff together for another set of portals and another set of blocking stuff like campfires and workbenches, and then I can run over there. It's almost visible from here. It's very close, and it's not going to be very hard for me to get over there and set one up. And if I die on the way over there with my gear, it's not going to matter because I have this portal nearby too. So this one should be a fairly low risk as far as getting there at least. Okay, getting over to this one was much more hellish than I expected. There was so many things and so many ruins on the side at least that I was coming in from and the side that I thought I would build up on, but I decided to be a little bit smarter this time. There was a much flatter and much more empty as far as mobs were, higher area that I could build on, and it was on the other side of it. So once I made my way around there, I realized there's divergers over here. There's only a couple monuments of torment spawning stuff over here that I can destroy pretty easily, and not only is there an arch for me to build up on over here that I should be able to shoot directly from into the fortress, but there is also a flame metal node right right next to it that as long as I don't break anything on, I can sit up there and shoot really easily into the fortress the entire time. This one should be the easiest one to clear from this entire thing because I am on the high ground already, and the high ground is built up so much higher around the rest of it, and I have my method that I know now works as the quickest way to get into these. So I'm going to clear this Monument of Torment, go back and make some more bolts because I am running out from just running over here as well as from the last one, and then start shooting into that fortress because, like I said, literally from my portal I should be able to see the spawners, and this one should be probably the easiest one so far. Yeah, as I knew it would be, this flame metal node is perfect. There's also a blob hopping around in there, one of the magma ones that I should be able to blow up in there and get it to kill most of the stuff as well as break any other structures that may be in there. But I mean, realistically, and like I was talking about, this is going to be the easiest one to break into. This one also seems fairly devoid of anything inside of it. There's not anything crazy inside of it, and there's just not a lot of mobs in this one. I know that it's probably supposed to be a consistent amount of mobs in each one, but this one definitely does not have that, and the last one had way too freaking many. So that being said, I'm gonna get the couple that are in here cleared, but I've already cleared most of them from just being up here and then walking up to the wall. I can see both spawners from the side, so it's not gonna be very hard for me to break into it, and I'll probably do the same stair method that I did 2 of them ago, where I built up to the side of it and just cleared stuff with a crossbow from the edge. So once I get that built, I'll probably come back and show you guys what's left, but this is going to be a really easy one to break into. We're gonna guaranteed get enough bell fragments unless there's some bug or something, and we are gonna be able to move towards actually preparing for the boss, which is gonna be its own thing entirely. Because I want to use the Ashlands, and I probably will raise them over there because there's no way to like get them over there. There is going to be a whole building thing, a whole like pen system, and a whole way to try and keep them in the fight the entire time that I'm over there, which is gonna be a lot of preparation. So after this, don't worry, we are not out of the woods yet. There is still a whole bunch of stuff to do. I'm gonna have to prepare for the insane amount of Ashlands, the actual fight itself, and get the bells set up, as well as clear anything in the area that might interrupt us, get the portal set up in a safe spot, and then start to also make 1, plans for the bosses after that, and 2, backup plans in case something goes wrong with this first one. But that is all gonna come after I get the bell fragments from this one, so let me continue to clear out this. There hasn't been too much interruption other than this fallen Valkyrie, and once I get this killed, I should be pretty much good to go. I'm not gonna say this fortress was devoid of life, but there really wasn't a whole lot in here. On top of that, a lot of the stuff fell out of the backside from the spikes or trying to walk around. I don't know if they were aggroed to something on the other side like a diverger, but there is a settlement over there, so I would not doubt it. But they all fell out on the backside and are no longer my problem. The only thing I'm really having a problem with is for some reason the angle on this corner ballista is really hard for me to hit. I can't seem to get an angle where I can actually shoot it without it shooting me, so I may have to jump in here and kind of trade shots with it for a little bit, but I have the stairs to get up here and get my body if I need it, so that's not too big of a problem. There's only 1 or 2 warriors left in there, and it's not going to be very hard to kill them, and they may even knock themselves out with the spikes anyways. After that, I have enough wood, so I'm going to mine out on the outside just like I did last time, build up there, drop inside, and I should be able to grab my last 2 bell fragments before progressing to the final boss. The next step after grabbing these is going to be quite simple. We need to go start setting up the boss arena for what I want to do with it. There's a lot of things that I want to do, and not being able to build in the boss arena as well as where I saw it positioned earlier is going to make it quite a bit harder. 60% of it is located on the edge of the lava, which is going to make it very hard to raise the ground up and have any building around the edge of it. The rest of it is going to be built in Groston houses for the Ashlands to raise, where I will be able to put all the eggs in there, put hearths on the outside, raise up the ground around the edges while I wait for them to raise, and then I should be good to go ahead and get them hatched, get them raised, get them out into the arena from those houses. They shouldn't be able to escape, at least not too many of them, because there will be a raised up ground around the entire edge of it that they can't get out of unless they stack on top of each other, which they will, but you know. And then I will be able to summon the boss because we now have the bells. I'm going to try and let the Ashlands do most of the work, but I do have my Crom as well as I will have my fire resistance potions and a bunch of crossbow bolts to finish the job is the plan. I have done a decent amount of like fighting with that boss now in the modded series as well as in a couple of other series, and even practicing in single player for this exact moment, so I know that it's possible even without the Ashlands, but I really am curious to see how much they're going to do. We have our last bell fragments, we have everything we need, and I'm going to get a portal set up over there so we can actually start doing stuff, and there's going to be a lot of preparation that goes on outside of the arena too, as far as what gear I need, what things I need, and all the food that I need, as well as any armor upgrades or weapon upgrades and things like bolts. So there's going to be a lot of stuff to do. There's still a long way to go, but we have the bell fragments. We are pretty much done exploring the Ashlands, and fuck this island that I have been running around for the past multiple real life days and tons of hours, because I am done over here. Now let's get the first look of the arena. There's a big rock coming into it, and like I said, lava around most of the edges, which is going to make it just more difficult for me to raise up the the ground around it and to make these buildings to contain everything in. However, the back side of it seems pretty empty with a lot of open land that I should be able to raise up, flatten, and make these houses that I'm talking about in the design that I'm thinking of. Apart from this though, you cannot build inside the actual arena at all, which means everything that I want to build and all of the things that I want over here are gonna have to take place outside of the arena, and I'll slowly have to move them in. Now, how hard is it gonna be to position that many Asvins in the arena after grazing them in tiny little houses? I don't know. We'll see when we get there, but I have a feeling it will take quite a long time for them to come out of their houses once they're raised and actually get into the arena. But if the edges are all raised up, I shouldn't have a problem with that because I won't have a time constraint and they won't wander away, which is, I mean, that's the plan at least for now. Apart from that though, like I said, there is a lot of other preparation that goes into this. I have to clear all the spawners around it, clear all of the mobs, block some of the spawns so that way nothing bothers the Asvins and pisses them off while they're trying to raise or anything like that, because then they'll start running around and possibly getting stuck in places. And I also need to start preparing for the other bosses as I do for this one. I know this one is the first step and the biggest step in a very long working of our way backwards, but the Queen and Yagluth are not going to be easy with this gear set either. In the situation of Yagluth, I could probably use Asvins to finish his entire health bar, but the Queen is going to be a different story as she is locked in the infested citadel with no ability to bring tames in. So that's going to be a whole thing that I also start to worry about, but we got to get through this first. So I'm going to get all the Groston I can, go over there and start building the structures, flattening the ground and clearing the mobs, and then I will get over there when I am starting to raise the Asvins and then figure out, as well as share with you guys, what all I have left to do, but there really is not much left. After a very long time of gathering up Groston and clearing the area, like literally another hour and a half, which is not as long as I was expecting this to take, but I have tons of Groston now. Anyways, we're going to build little houses like this around each arch. Now I know this doesn't look huge, but with the ceiling and then being able to stack on top of each other, something that I will complain about the entire time, but it will give them a little bit more efficient storage space. I will be able to store a ton of them in here, probably like 20 to 40 in this little area. Now if I think the goal is going to be 20 in this one, 20 in another one, and then 40 to 60 in the other one. The plan is to use the big one, the one of 60, to release into the arena and to use the other ones as 2 backups if I think that's going to work. Now I know that the last boss has the ability to hit pretty much everything that's rendered in an area that's on your friendly team. I know that from doing the modded series when I had me and a couple other people doing it, that attack happens everywhere. So I do have to be careful and think about if they're going to get hit inside their cage while they're completely defenseless and not helping. It's definitely something to think about, but it's not the main concern. The biggest thing is just getting as many of them out there as I can without them stacking up and picking the boss up on top of them. Something that I've seen in a lot of testing and looking and talking to other friends who have tried stuff like this and who have even just messed around in like a creative world with stuff like this is that the Asvins really like to stack on top of each other when fighting anything. And in the case of something like a boss like this, the boss maybe just be carried to the top of a very big pyramid where it can hit down and kill everything. And I only have one shot at this because I'm sure as hell not raising another 100 Asvins while there's a boss spawned in next to them. It's not going to be easy and it won't be fun. So that being said, I have to be very careful and make sure to get this right the first time. But I'm going to build a couple houses like this, get a whole bunch of Groston because I'm going to need it. I may even start demolishing the inside of this little base that we have over here because I don't use it for anything other than the portals. And then I'm going to go ahead and go over there and build up 3 of those like I mentioned and start raising up the ground around the edge so that once they are raised they can escape and that during the fight they won't leave. The first house is almost done. This has taken an absurd amount of Groston and I don't even know that it's going to be big to hold even 20 Asvins. I mean, I know if they stacked all the way on top of each other that it would be good, but the idea is to have them run out this little archway and having them all stacked up is not going to allow them to run out at all. So I don't know how getting them all out is going to go and it may take them a while, but if I have the ground raised up around, I may just release them as babies because they will get out a lot easier in that scenario. But it's time to start figuring out where I want to build the other 2. I want to keep them fairly spaced apart so that they can attack from all angles because again, they can stack on top of each other, but spreading them out will get rid of some of the risk of them doing that. And also, I mean, it's just going to be better for them to be able to hit. They're going to be stacked behind each other and I don't know how many of them are going to be able to hit at a time, so I need to worry about that as well. But I am going to build up the second one coming soon. I have a bunch of Groston stacked up, but this has taken way more of my reserve than I thought it was going to. I definitely need to head back to base to get more. That being said, I will have to spend the time to go to pretty much all of the charred fortresses and have something or myself break literally every single one of those little ashen structures all around the edge of it because there is going to be so much used in that one that is for the 60 Asvins, which is the last one that I'm going to build. Yes, getting Groston in the Ashlands, one of the easiest things to do that is not frustrating at all. No, in all reality, the Fallen Valkyrie actually did help me a lot in clearing out a bunch of these stone structures around the edge of a bunch of the charred fortresses I was at, allowing me to build not only the entire second house, but the foundation for the third house, which is going to be the setup for all of our Asvins. Now, I have to go back there and finish the third one in a minute, but soon here I'm going to start bringing the Asvins over, putting them in a chest, at least the eggs, and starting to separate them out into each individual area, raising up the ground and worrying about the hearths to warm them up. But that is all going to come in a little bit because things will target the hearths and I have to raise up the ground around those too, that way they won't get targeted, and there's going to still be a whole bunch more work, and there are so many different things making this so difficult. For all of this, I want you guys to remember when I talk about it's been 2 hours or it's been 3 hours of me doing something that doesn't look like it would take very much time at all. Remember that I am in silver armor, not even made to go through the plains with, and I am sitting here in the Ashlands with that and an arbalist that does not do that well and is quite slow to run with. So my ability to keep myself alive is very low. So there's a lot of times where I am just running back to get my body or struggling to do very basic things just because of this. But no matter the struggles that are happening, I am going to push forward. Just know that when I give you time frames like that, that might be why they seem a little odd sometimes. The raising the ground is going to become a lot bigger of a thing here, and I've gone up to the mountain to get stone golems to break a bunch of stone for me already, and I have it all in a chest ready to go. I don't know how high I'm going to raise the ground up yet or what I'm going to do about this rock sticking through the edge, but everything is pretty much done. I got to extend the third house is fairly built. I just need to extend it back further because I remembered that how many I was going to put in that one, and that's going to be the best one for me to fit stuff in, and I am going to be completely ready to bring the Asphens over here, and while they're hatching, I can worry about some of the other stuff that I need to prepare for. And quite a while later, this is the third house that is completely expanded back. It was partially built before, but now this is as far back as it's going to extend. In the meantime of doing this as well, and all the stone that I've collected, I've started to build up, as you can probably see in some of the archways, I've started to raise up the ground with a hoe around a ton of the different areas, as well as I may place even grass and walls, or just I gotta find some way to deal with the lava over here. I can build basalt bombs and stuff though to stand near the lava to deal with it, and I may have to burn some workbenches in the process, but I'm gonna try and get all of this raised up and walls placed around the edge. I just gotta experiment a little bit with what works better and just find out a way to get around this lava. But I'm gonna try and raise up the entire thing around this entire area, every single bit of it, other than this rock right here, because I don't know that the rock is gonna do much. If that rock gets destroyed, I'm gonna be kind of fucked in a whole bunch of other ways anyways, so that doesn't really matter that much. But all I need to do from now is get this all raised up around the edge, get the hearths placed down, and get the Asphens hatching, as well as continue to clear this area, because obviously stuff keeps wandering in here no matter how much I block the spawns. There's always stuff coming out of the lava and crap like that. I'm also worried about things targeting the hearths and stopping certain eggs or some of the eggs from hatching, so I have to worry about that too, and I will have a process to stop that from happening, but I'm not there yet. I need to get all that stuff finished. I still have a bunch more things, but progress is happening, and I'm getting very close to where I think I can throw the eggs down to go for maybe 1 or 2 more adventures out in the world outside of the Ashlands just to get a few things that I may need, and then we're gonna hunker down, wait for everything to raise up the ground around the edge while I wait and finish this boss fight. The ground is continuing to be raised. It has been almost 5 hours of building these entire structures, but the hearths are protected, the eggs are getting split, and they are about to get dropped on the ground, meaning that there is only 1 or 2 things left to do before I can go on my last adventures and just wait for these to raise. Now, I know, like I said earlier, I feel like I'm going kind of quick in this video, but it's a longer video, first of all, and second of all, the thing that I kind of realized in the amount of time that I took between making this episode and all the other ones, that about month break that I took earlier in the episode, I realized that this series is not about the grind that happens and all the stone that I gather and the grass and structures that I build, and while that is a really big part of it and how it advances what I'm doing, it's not the main focus. It's how do you overcome the fact that you haven't killed any bosses. And so I wanted to take a little bit of the pressure off those moments where I'm just harvesting stuff, or where like earlier in the series I was just breaking iron gates, and put a lot more of the focus on the progression parts of it, the parts of it that are different from a normal playthrough. You guys can watch me build stuff and grind stuff, all the hardcore playthrough and a bunch of the other movies, but this one is special for that reason. And for this last episode, I wanted to put as much emphasis and attention as possible on that idea of it rather than the entire grinding part. But like I said, it was about 5 hours of building these structures and raising up the ground, and there's still a bit more to do. These are going to take 1 hour and 10 minutes to raise, and even longer to probably come out of these little structures, seeing as how small the holes are and the fact that I can't make a saddle, so I'm just going to have to sit here and wait. In the meantime, I have a couple of things to do. I need to go wander around the plains for a little bit. Reason being, I don't have fire resistance meads. Now, am I going to need them? I don't know. As I put these eggs down, I don't know if I'm going to need them. I also have my Fenrir set that I could just wear. I don't know if that's just me being lazy or if it's just me being hopeful that the stuff I've collected might be enough so far, but I really do think these are going to be extremely strong, and I'll only know their power once I actually summon the boss. But for now, this looks absolutely insane, and I can only imagine what this is going to look like when they're raised. But I may go look for barley and cloudberries just for fire resistance in the case that I decide that I'm going to need it, which I probably should if I'm not being lazy. And apart from that, I'm going to need food and to raise up the ground a bunch more. I'll give you guys one final look of the arena before we get started, and maybe what the baby Aspens look like when they're running around everywhere. And then it's going to be time to let all the adults come out, continue to raise up the edges, and get a bunch of stuff prepared. I want to try not to sit here and AFK while they're coming out, but I may need to, or else they may not move. But otherwise, I want to try and spend all of my time as well as possible, whether it's moving towards the queen, getting stuff ready for the other boss fights, or just generally getting better food and other things prepared for this one. It doesn't matter. I'm going to have to spend a lot of time here. These are still multiple hours away from being ready and being spread out into the open, but for you guys, it's only going to be a few few minutes before we start off that first boss fight and the last boss of the game. Holy shit, guys, I hear eggs cracking. Oh, here they come. There's about to be so many Askvins in here. The babies are actually really tiny, and this is giving me hope that they will all fit in here. The biggest thing that I'm worried about is they get so crammed in here, and then they grow up like all stuck in a corner or something, and they pop through the walls. I don't know if that's what'll actually happen if they do, but I'm used to playing Ark where everything's very buggy, so I can only hope that that doesn't happen. Aside from that, though, I've been spending the entire time making food, crossbow bolts, and getting a shit ton of stone to throw at trying to raise the walls up around the edge as much as I can. The lava has been causing me quite a few problems, so I decided to make basalt bombs to throw in there, where I could place my workbench in the lava, raise it the ground up a few times, and then just place another workbench, as the workbench doesn't burn for about 10 seconds, and it gives you a decent amount of time to raise up some of the ground. There's just a lot of edges where I can't place the workbench inside due to you not being able to build inside the arena, and there's literally lava on the edge where I can't build it out there either unless I'm willing to let it burn, so I've just been burning a ton of wood into coal by doing that, and that's really one of my only options, but it is going pretty well. I think the last thing that I want to do is I want to run to the plains. Maybe I can grab some totems whenever I do Yagluth, but I also need to go there and try and get some barley and cloudberries to make a fire resistance mead. After that, I don't have anything else. I have a bunch of bolts and a chest at my Mistlands base that I can use. I've just been kind of keeping them away so I don't use them now because I have a certain amount designated for the fight. I have my Crom, and I could go with upgrading it, but I don't know if I'm really going to need to. I'm going to look at all the Askvins when they're all done and see how, like, actually seeing it, how is it actually going to look? How am I going to feel about using them to fight the boss, and how much help do I really think I'm going to have to give them, or how much help are they really going to give me? And then other than that, I don't really have that much stuff left to do, so I'm going to sit over there. I'm going to let them raise. I'm going to raise up all the ground around the sides. I already made the 3 bells. We had exactly 9 fragments from all of the charred fortresses. We had a set of 2, a set of 2, a set of 3, and a set of 2. So that was our 9, and I'm pretty much ready at this point. I'm kind of scared. It doesn't feel like I'm ready, but I know that that's how this playthrough is supposed to feel, and I've gone all the way up to this point. Nothing I've felt ready for at all, because that's what the point of the playthrough is. To you guys, it's not going to look like I'm ready. To me, it's not going to look like I'm ready, and maybe there are better things that I could use for it, but there are a certain amount of trust that I have to put in my ability to fight it in my Askvins, where I don't have to have the absolute best stuff that I can make. If I don't have a certain meat or something like that, I'm not going to spend an hour getting it. I can probably go for it and be okay, and if I fail or something like that, then I'll go back through and reassess the situation. But first, I really just want to try with what I have available, because I have mostly everything that I would ever be able to craft in my current situation. So I'm going to continue to raise up the walls around, sit over there AFK for a little bit, and let those guys raise up, as well as take a little trip to the plains, which I will probably show you guys, and then I will have to await the very long, what I'm assuming is going to be a very long process of them all exiting their buildings and hopefully not running away, and then we will summon the boss and get started, and hopefully they will be strong enough combined with me to tackle it. While they are raising, I've decided on taking one last journey to the plains in any attempt to get the fire resistance. I'm okay doing it with just this armor, as I don't think I'm going to get hit very much, because, I mean, honestly, any amount of hit that I have from that boss is probably going to kill me, but I do still have the opportunity to try and get it while everything is still raising, and I figured why not, because it's not going to take me that long. So I'm going to head into this plains. This is at the bottom of our Modder Mountain, and see what I can find. Hopefully a village with at least at least 10 barley, so I can make at least 1 set of them, and if we get more, then that's good, but if not, then I will probably be okay. And unfortunately for me, this plains only has 1 village, and this is one of the only plains that I know about other than the one next to the Mistlands, which I don't have a portal anywhere near the edge of. And unfortunately for me, while there was a nice big village over here, all it had was 2 sets of flax, which is not anything that I can use right now. Processing flax or any other things from the plains are literally impossible in this playthrough, at least till I'm halfway done, and by that point I really don't need anything else, so I'm not really going to need it. So I'm going to head back to base, and here's the final plan of what I'm planning on doing. The Askvins are going to take a while to raise up, and I don't really want to do anything else. I don't want to waste the food I have or any of the resources that I have, any of the bolts that I have, by just running around aimlessly. So the plan is going to be to pretty much AFK until they are done, go stand over there and AFK for longer as they slowly flow out, and I will probably spend a bunch more time raising up the ground as best I can around the edges, put the bells in their place, and we should be ready to go. Now, the only thing that I can see myself doing is starting to prepare for the other bosses. I may sail over to Queen while I'm waiting for stuff to happen. I may try and find Yagluth because I still don't have that boss location while I'm waiting for stuff to happen. But other than that, I'm pretty sure the next time you guys see me, we are going to be ready to start this boss fight, because all I need is for those guys to raise up and get out of those little houses. It is time. It has been about 8 hours since the last clip, and getting the Askvins raised up was honestly the easiest thing I've had to do the entire playthrough, but getting them out of those little houses was not. If you guys want to try this same method, which in a minute you guys might want to think about it, you definitely need to do a couple things to get them out of those little houses. See, because I built up the entire edge around, there was no just letting them in. So what I had to do was build up the entire edge around the entire stadium, pretty high. I mean, that's what I spent almost the entire hours waiting for them to come out to doing. But I broke one little section of it, and I let a bunch of charred twitchers run in, as well as a bunch of vultures fly over. Them getting aggroed, they ran out through the door that I had set for them, but even doing it that way made it take so freaking long. That being said, though, in the meantime, I got some bone maw meat, I got some cooked aspen meat, and I got some ice cream. The bells are hung, and it is time to get over there, show you guys the Asvins, and get ready to do this fight. Now, if you're wondering why it doesn't look like I'm that prepared, once I saw the sheer amount of creatures that I have over there, there's almost no way that I'm gonna even have to do anything. So let's get over here, let's hit that bell, and let's see if I'm really right. Let's see if I can navigate around this absolutely humongous crowd of creatures. And yeah, let's get these guys, let's get these guys going. Hopefully they make it through the fight. I don't even know how to feel right now. I wasn't even here for most of that fight, and I don't even think it killed a single one of them. I will say, the fire resistance would have been nice, because I would have gotten to at least watch the fight, but holy shit did they demolish that thing. As soon as that pillar broke, they just pushed it out into the lava pool and absolutely demolished it. Now, how am I going to get that head? I'm probably going to have to make some basalt bombs and go out there, but that was insane, dude. That was like the easiest part of the playthrough. I just killed the last boss with not even touching it. Alright, well, that's not the end of the playthrough, because I still got to get through Queen and Yagluth, and now after that it's going to be pretty smooth sailing in my opinion, at least. But that was actually insane. Now I do want to tell you guys this: after this entire playthrough was over, because it's pre-recorded, I had a feeling that I had gotten, I don't know, I didn't really expect it to go that well. I figured they would all die at about it being at a quarter health, and I would have to fight and die and fight and die and fight and die through that last quarter of health. So I went through and tested it in single player, and I didn't just test it once, I tested it 25 times, because like I said, I felt like I had gotten really lucky, even though I had died, as far as how much damage they did and how they didn't really stack on each other. They didn't really all get like group hit. Nothing really crazy happened, and even most of them didn't even aggro. There was only like 20 of them that actually did that entire fight. After going back and looking and trying it in single player and trying to figure out what had just happened, I was right. In single player, I tested it 25 times, and only 10 times did 100 perfectly placed ones win, which means that not even half the time did they win. So I got very lucky here. If you guys are trying to do this on your own, the thing that I found from solo testing after the series was that the way that the meteor landed on me, like I said, fire resistance would have been good, better armor would have been a great idea, but the way that the meteor landed on me and how it started hitting the close range attacks on me, that is exactly what you want. As soon as it starts pulling the fire out of the ground and shooting the spikes out of the ground, every single one of them is dead. It does not matter. Unless you have 2 stars, they might be able to survive one of those attacks, but otherwise you are screwed. So that is like, I don't know, that's something to think about, and that's something for you guys to like, if you want to try this method, or if you want to do this method. And I have a feeling that's why it's not a widely spread good idea to do this. I figure that's why this is not the meta. I mean, it also took me way too many hours, way too long, such a complex setup that you don't need to have. But if you're doing something like this, a reverse series or something similar where you're trying to do, I saw someone the other day talking about a couple of different challenges where different weapons and stuff wouldn't be used. This is a great way to do that. But the fact is, like I said, you have to get lucky, and if you're gonna do it like I just almost did it. If you want to get that lucky, you're gonna have to, one, take the chance and be prepared in every direction that might not be how it goes, which I definitely really wasn't. I don't know how this fight would have gone if it did not go that well. But if you do want it to go that way, you need to be taking the front of the damage, and you need to make sure to stay close to the boss the entire time, because if you don't, the second it goes long range, that fire will start coming out of the ground. It will target every single one of them, and it will kill them. Now, in this scenario, some of them had climbed over the walls already, some of them had escaped. I could have definitely done a better job of containing them before the fight, but I mean, all in all, that went about as good as it possibly could have. I really don't think I have much more to ask for, especially after watching what happens in a single player when I was testing it out. And yeah, that was literally insane. The Ashlands is going to be ridden with these tames forever now. It's going to be pretty much safe for me to walk around the Ashlands because nothing is going to be able to kill me because I have way too many friendly things. And honestly, I don't know that I'm ever going to come back to the Ashlands in this playthrough. I've got the head. I'm going to go out there with the basalt bombs here in a second and grab it. And I don't know, like other than that, I should be fine to get this back to base and start worrying about Queen. And honestly, my outlook now of how to do Queen has changed a little bit. I have a little bit of a different idea, as well as getting into the Queen's infested citadel is not as simple as you guys may think in this playthrough. So let's get over there. Let's start worrying about that. But holy shit, I could not have gotten luckier. And I can't believe, I'm also sorry for you guys. I was dead for like half the fight, but I didn't want to cut it too much. I cut out just the portal sequences because obviously, you guys don't need to watch the orange thing spin for 10 seconds. But other than that, I tried to keep it completely uncut just so you guys could see how actually quick that went. It was literally less than a 3-minute battle. All right, guys, I am over at the Queen. I did not take too long to sail over here from my Mistlands base, but I'm going to be 100% honest. Most of the rest of the playthrough is going to be a little bit sped up as far as progression goes, because once I started that first boss fight as far as video making goes, I know that everyone is eager to see the rest of them and for me to complete the playthrough. But I do want to show you guys how I got into Queen. Now, this was something that I saw in a YouTuber Scales video. He mentioned another YouTuber, I'm pretty sure, that also put out this idea or a more detailed explanation of how to do this. But because you need the Yagluth table to craft the seal breaker, you actually cannot get into the Queen without a glitch. So what you have to do is place a portal set outside of where you're going or outside of the Queen's area, and then connect the other side of the portal set to the Queen's door with it facing into it. What will happen then is when you go through the first set of the portal, you will be able to just pop right through the door, and from there you can set up a second portal set back to your base, and then every time you want to come to the Queen, you can just go back and forth between that portal set. The one used to get through the door is probably never going to be used again. But I want to tell you guys about my idea for what I'm going to do to get through the Queen. Now, the idea was just going to be make some of the bile bombs, make some of the poison bombs, and just fight it. But I have an idea. Now, this is one that I have never tested, nor have I ever seen anybody really talk about outside of a couple subreddits, so I don't even know if it's really possible. But I know for sure that you can place campfires in here, as well as there's a little room in the entrance that you kind of can't get hit by the Queen or anything else during the fight. So the goal after I get the portal set down is going to be to set up campfires in there and set up 40 Askvin eggs to hatch. Now, I'm going to have to do a couple different things to make sure that this works. Well, the eggs take, I think, 1 hour and 10 minutes to hatch and to raise completely. You have to be there when they hatch, or you at least have to come back once for it to load that they have hatched. From there, you kind of want to leave and try and destroy the campfires if you can. That way they don't light themselves on fire as babies. But if you unrender the area, say I go back to my base and AFK for a little bit, they should just raise by the time I get back there. And because that area of the map wasn't loaded, the Queen shouldn't attack them, and they shouldn't really move. They should be right next to that entrance area or a little outside of it. I'm going to try and throw the eggs outside so they don't all get stuck and so I can actually get in the door, but there's no guarantee that that's happening. From there, once I actually get them all raised, they should kind of raise, and like they did the last time, like kind of fill the entire arena inside the infested citadel, in which the Queen will aggro them and start fighting them. I will try my best to help them, but I think 40 of them after seeing that last fight is going to be a little insane. And seeing as how the Queen doesn't have an attack that actually targets every single thing in an area, it's probably going to be pretty easy to do that. And while I'm setting those eggs up and waiting for them to hatch, I need to go try and find Yagluth. I have all of the totems from running around the plains earlier in the episode, as well as other plains adventures throughout the entire series, but what I don't have is the location for Yagluth. I have the idea of where there's a bunch of the Stonehenge structures, as well as where there is a bunch of large plains, both ones that I've partially explored and ones that I've not even touched. So the idea is going to be to just kind of go run around all of those while I have an hour or two waiting for the Queen's Askvins to raise. So let's get over here and set this up. I had the 40 Askvin eggs as I've been AFKing at that Ashlands base for quite a bit whenever I'm offline or whenever I'm going to do something in real life, because I knew that I was probably going to do this, and even for Yagluth, if I can. The idea is going to place 2 campfires in here, and hopefully they don't smoke themselves out, and then I already split most of the eggs, and start just throwing them into the citadel as far as I can without them getting necessarily stuck in the entrance. But as long as some of them pop through, I'm not going to be too worried about it. As long as I also don't get stuck in the entrance, I'll be fine. But even if I do, I can come back with a butcher's knife and kill all the ones that are stuck. The idea, though, is, like I said, leave for 20 minutes. The eggs will run their hatch timer down, and then I'll come back and render them in so that way they actually hatch. Once the babies are all hatched, I will leave again for 50 minutes where they will completely raise into adults. I'll come back, render them, they'll raise into adults like spontaneously, and then I will be able to just let them run free at the queen, as either the queen will start to break this black marble that's trapping them in, or they will start to slide through the cracks of it. Either way though, these campfires should be good. The only thing I kind of want to try and make sure I do is break them, but even if I don't, they should be able to survive a little bit of fire damage. And as long as the queen doesn't aggro me right now while I'm doing this, which she shouldn't, because you kind of have to go into there a little bit and find her first, then I will be good. Aside from this, like I said, finding Yagluth is the next thing, and getting this same kind of setup going over there will be the next move as well. I only need 20 eggs, and I think I already have those from AFKing at the Ashlands base, so it should not take too much time for me to get that going. But if it does, I mean, I'll just sit over there and wait. I'll go do something else in real life while the Aspens lay eggs, and I will be ready to go at it at some point. But for now, let's head back to base. We got all of our eggs down, and kind of just wait for these to hatch while I look for Yagluth. All right, I kind of lost track of time while running around the plains, and I know that I definitely am way overdue to go back and let the eggs hatch, as it's been over an hour of me running around, but honestly, making progress like this is kind of worth it. The other thing I kind of wish I would have done is gone back and let them hatch. That way they would have been almost done raising at this point, but nothing can be perfect. The idea is going to be to set up the exact same kind of setup over here, maybe with just some walls. I don't even think I really have to raise up the ground. I'll set up a portal, and I will kind of do the same thing while I'm doing the queen fight. Now, I do still have to go over there, get the eggs hatched, and worry about getting them raised up, but a lot of this is going to be AFK at this point. And also, I was completely right. This is next to bone mass. This is not that far off of where our swamp is at, and it was one of the really big plains I remember sailing by while the entire playthrough has been happening. I kind of kept track of where different things may be, and as this was probably the biggest plains that I remember seeing, I was very happy to see that the Yagluth structure was over here, as none of the Stonehenge things that I found had the location. From this point forward, as soon as I get these Aspens raised, I'm going to probably make a couple bolts to do Modder with, but I'm not even going to start setting up that boss fight yet, because I don't necessarily know how the queen's going to go, though I'm pretty sure, knowing the success of the last boss fight, that it's probably going to go pretty good. So let me get my portal set up over here. Let me get the Aspen structure set up over here. I already have the eggs, and then we'll go back and get the ones hatched at queen. All right, let's go check on these ones in the entire queen area. They are finally hatching. Let's go. They are going to be stacked up. I hope they don't, like I said, flow into this main area. Oh, okay. The queen is upset. Hopefully the queen upset does not do anything to them. But I'm just going to head back through. I have a timer set on my phone, and in the meantime, I'm going to go start setting up the structure for the Yagluth ones. They should finish. They're going to be about 20 minutes behind the queen one, and assuming the queen fight takes at least 20 minutes, which it probably should. I don't know with the tames how it's going to rock, but I know normally it would take about that long. So I'm going to set it up over here, set up some campfires, and get some of these guys hatching while I wait the 50 minutes for those other ones to start raising or to finish raising. We'll do the queen fight in just a minute, but I'm going to get these set up and going alongside them. That way, when we're done with the queen, we can AFK again and get these going, and maybe in the meantime, I'll go start setting up for the other bosses, because those last three, there is one thing about them that I'm a little concerned about, and I know it seems like it'll be a really easy kill, but just wait, because there might be one kind of thing that throws a wrench in the entire plan. The Yagluth ones are completely set up. We're ready over here. For some reason, the fires keep going out, but I'll figure that out. I'll build something over them here in a second, and I just gotta go get more wood for that, but they are set up. They'll be hatching in just a moment. The queen ones have about 30 minutes left, and I really don't think I'm gonna set anything else up other than grabbing a couple of the charred bolts for Modder. I'm gonna fight Modder with the Arbalest, because why not? And other than that, I'm not gonna set up any of the eggs or anything like that. There's eggs around that. I have everything for the rest of the bosses except for one thing that I'll talk to you guys about in a minute. But other than that, I'm pretty much ready to get through this entire playthrough as soon as we start that queen fight. But it's still going to be, like I said, a little bit of time. I got to fix the plains campfires, but for the meantime, I'm going to fix those campfires, sit at base, and just wait for the Aspens to be raised, and then I will run over there and check on them every once in a while. Hopefully, I don't get them killed by the queen. I kind of want to just wait the entire time just in case that would do something wrong if going in there when they're still babies, and then I will come back to you guys when they are raised, when they are ready to go for queen, and when we can try and take it on. All right, guys, everything is pretty much ready as far as the Yagluth setup goes. All the campfires are going, and the queen ones should be about ready by now. I've AFK'd for quite a while. These are going to be hatching soon, and those other ones should be completely raised. So let's get over there and see how this fight goes, but I can only hope it goes as well as the first one. Well, that was fairly anticlimactic. I didn't even get to see the fight. I don't even know that I'm going to be able to get the head. I think I'm going to have to go get my butcher knife to even look at what happened for the entire fight. But I was completely right. They absolutely ripped through that. The Askavins are kind of insane. I don't know that they should have given... I'm going to be honest. I don't know that Valheim should be doing tames or mounts at all, but Askavins are extremely underpowered when it comes to riding them and stuff like that. But when it comes to something like being able to bring an egg anywhere in the entire game and hatch it anywhere, you can get pretty overpowered. And I know the entire point of the game progression is that you wouldn't have these at this point in the game to where you could do this, but now that you technically can get them up until then, and it's actually not that hard. You wouldn't have to be in the Ashlands that long to get one of these. You'd literally have to have a couple pieces of stone structures to just tame a couple and then bring back eggs. So I don't know, that seems a little overpowered on that front and then really underpowered on the front of it being an actual mount. So I don't know if Valheim should be doing mounts, but that's a whole conversation for a different video. In the meantime, I'm gonna chop these boys up with my butcher's knife. Honestly, I'm gonna have a bunch of food now, so I don't really have to worry about that for the rest of the boss fights. And that was the entire queen fight. Sorry if these first two were a little they kind of little anticlimactic, like I said, a little boring, but that's just how it went. That is just how the entire series culminated, and actually fighting them would have been something I could have done, but why would I when I could do something this easily when all it involves is a bunch of AFKing and throwing some eggs down? So let's get over to the Yagluth fight and do the same thing. For some reason, when these things grow up, when you first load them in, they are babies, and then they just start spontaneously exploding into giant ones, but these are already over here as well. A bunch more just AFKing at base. I don't really have much more to do for this entire playthrough. All I'll do is I'll summon Yagluth, run him over here, and then I will open up their cage and let them go at him. I only had 20 over here, and honestly, even that is probably overkill because of the way that the boss's health scales. These are going to be insanely easy. Now, after this, I am going to be fighting the rest of the bosses normally, but having an Arbalist and Krama is going to make it extremely easy, with Bone Mass really being the only exception that might not be that easy outside the normal one. The only thing that I noticed is that I did not move my portal, and while these guys are going to destroy Yagluth quicker than I will probably be able to die, if I do die, this is not anywhere near anything else other than I could probably run from my swamp portal. So it's probably a good idea for me to go ahead and put this back just a little bit from the fight in case this goes not exactly how I plan it to. But let's put this down, let's get these guys going, and let's see how these guys can do against this boss. I don't know how one of them got out, but it seems to be completely soloing Yagluth by itself, and honestly, I kind of want to go check its health. I don't want to get hit by any of this stuff because I didn't even make fire resistance because I don't really plan on getting hit, but I am also wearing my Fenris set, so I don't really need it. I'm going to break these guys loose in a second, but honestly, that one over there is kind of doing work by itself. These are so overpowered when it gets to these mid-game bosses, and honestly, a pacifist playthrough with these, like I've seen many people do in the older set versions of Valheim, is honestly possible. I don't know that I'd do it because I'm kind of already doing it right now, obviously, as far as at least the bosses go, and I don't know how entertaining that would be for you guys, but if you had 2 stars of these, it would be so easily possible to do an entire pacifist playthrough of the entire game without killing anything, just because of how easily and how strong these tames are and how mobile they are to be able to be moved all the way around the map. It's kind of awesome and kind of insane. But yeah, these guys are absolutely cooking it. I'm not even sure if one of them is going to die other than the one that decided it was going to solo it, and as long as I don't get myself killed, which I don't think I'm going to, it should be a pretty easy down, and we can be on to the next one. As far as the next fights go, there's only one roadblock that I'm going to explain right now, and then I'm just going to show you guys those last 4 fights because they go by pretty quickly. The only thing that I was not prepared for, and I honestly was not, it kind of put me down quite a bit just because I was ready to be done, was the fact that Bone Mass needs Withered Bones to be summoned, and that requires either a 5.9% drop for one of them from a chest anywhere in the swamp, which is fine, it is possible, or muddy scrap piles, which I don't have a wishbone to find yet. So I actually had to run around for about 6 hours and to delay this for a whole nother day because I was not ready for that to be a possibility or anything that was going to happen. This video was supposed to be done a day or 2 ago, but after I found that out, I had to spend the time to go look through all of it, go find a bunch of muddy scrap piles, which was way harder than I thought it would be. I swear I dug out like 2 whole swamps just finding 10 withered bones, and then rummaging through every single chest that I could find for that 6% chance that I could get a single one from the chest. After the entire withered bone fiasco though, and I was able to obtain them after going through multiple swamps, these last 4 boss fights were fairly easy, so let's get to them. And that was how I beat Valheim in reverse. It was a very long episode today, kind of considered a special so you guys could see how the entire end of the playthrough went down, all the way from the beginning of the Ashlands to the end of it. And I wanted to give you guys all of the story components of everything that happened, so I hope you guys enjoyed the way that I did this video, and I hope you guys enjoyed this entire series, as it is the first challenge series like this that I have done. If you guys want to see more like this, or if you guys have other ideas for crazy challenges, no guarantee that I'm going to do any more, because to be honest, this one was quite stressful and frustrating at some points. But if you guys really want to see it, I will do another one, so please let me know if you guys have any ideas for that kind of stuff in the comments below. It was epic. There was a lot of cool stuff, and I learned a lot of cool tricks, in which I will probably make a video about this week. All of the tricks that I learned, all of the things you guys taught me, and all of the stuff I learned along the way. So stick around if you guys want to see that for this week. There will be a full movie version of this video out this week as well, and then after that, maybe, I'm trying to think, maybe 1 or 2 videos between this one and 500 Days in Hardcore. So I know you guys are looking forward to that one. Please make sure to look forward to that, and that one will be out very soon as well. Thank you guys so much for the support on the series. Thank you guys so much for the support on the channel. And as I mentioned at the beginning, I am currently trying to make it to 5,000 subscribers, and if you guys could help me get there, that would mean a lot to me. Either way, thank you guys so much for watching, and like I said, the huge amount of support on the series, and I will see you guys next time. Peace out.